All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is going into the quarterfinals. Last match, we saw Aunt Jemima and the crew take this adenosine triphosphate team straight to the dumpster, unfortunately. I'm here joined by Street Pole. This is RandomCS Championship, Silver and Under. How's everyone doing today? How are you, Street Pole?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well now that there is no Fizz ban and there's a LeBlanc ban instead. I'm very happy about that, as we saw in the last game how LeBlanc was an absolute monster beyond deadly, getting that LeBlanc target banned away, and then Nasus ban, another target ban on I'm Hurricane Doug, and that is pretty much standard at this point from what we just saw from last game. Ban out the Nasus, ban out the LeBlanc, take your chances with whatever else they have. Don't get those two champions picked by the side of Aunt Jemima and the crew.
We're learning. This is good, man. And as we got quite a number of hilarious names, specifically Osama bin Laden. That's funny, I guess.
Yeah, I did not even look at that yet, but Osama has been lagging, some bad connection there, unfortunately. Yeah, so we've got the comeback kids on the purple side.
Next topic.
Yeah, and Aunt Jemima, moving on to the team names here. Aunt Jemima and the crew on the blue side, and comeback kids on the purple side. And it looks like they might first pick that Sivir out. They did first pick it actually when they were purple side in last game. And they're going to lock it in instantly. They like that Sivir pick for their carry there, Ice Cold Killer.
I mean, we'll have to see if the Janna goes out next time. They instantly locked out Malphite and Yasuo, so I'm pretty excited to see something different other than Nasus. Nasus being banned, of course. If you guys missed our first two games, almost the exact same play in the top lane, rather unfortunately, for the same side as well. Purple side kept getting dove 2v1, and Nasus got 2 kills in both instances, only dying in one of the two instances, and just snowballed the game from there. So I'm glad to see something different now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, insta-lock Yasuo and Malphite, the kind of easy-to-play Yasuo knock-up combo where it's just point-click with the Malphite ultimate, pop the Yasuo ultimate on top of that. Let's see if they go for more knock-up. Yeah, I was just going to say, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Wukong come out there in jungle. He's got the pop-up with his ult as well. You got the Wukong going in, the Malphite going in, Yasuo ult on top, the Jinx ult on top of that, and that is going to be quite the little wombo there for comeback kids.
Yeah, we're finally just seeing a team comp that's like, you know this Yasuo character, we're going to build this team comp around that character. Just like the designers wanted us to. They wanted us to have strategic diversity in how we should build team comps. Not just pick it because it's OP, but let's pick it because it's strong with the other champions we picked.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the first kind of dedicated team comp where it's like, this is what we're going to do with this comp. Every single team comp we've seen before has been less of a comp and much more of a, oh, well, I'm really good on this champion, well, I'm good on this champion. Okay, well, let's just pick what we're good at. Where the side of Comeback Kids is the first one in the tournament so far that has gone strictly for, this is what we're going to do, you know what we're going to do, try and stop us.
Yeah, and of course, the Malphite's such a terrible beast in the top lane. Now, something that gets counterpicked by quite a number of champions, so we'll have to see, specifically AP champions. I mean, there's a couple of picks I'm thinking of here. Maybe not the Gnar I was thinking of, but that could work as well with the ranged.
Yeah, the Gnar's not too bad against the Malphite. He can kind of bully him early a bit, which Malphite's not the best laner. He's more Malphite usually, at least the way I play him personally, is kind of just wait till you get your ult, then you can teleport in, win a team fight with your ultimate, or get like a gank bot lane, turn into Dragon with your teleport and your ultimate. Before level 6, I'm really just kind of farming, basically, as Malphite, where Gnar can do a little bit more pressure in the lane. The one thing, though, is once Malphite hits 6, Gnar could actually be ganked there. Wukong and Malphite have a nice little CC combo, and they could knock down that Gnar and kill him, especially if he's not in Mega Gnar form and doesn't time his Gnar bar there properly. but actually it looks like we might be seeing an Ignite in the top lane for Gnar there. So he's not worried about the teleport, he just wants to kill Malphite in lane, if he does stick with that summoner, of course.
Yeah, I feel I mean, it's not just a unilateral decision where you say, if I take Ignite against the teleport, I'll kill him in the top lane. Of course, it's matchup dependent, and I don't think in this matchup that Ignite on Gnar is that useful.
It's not.
Yeah, especially when the opponent has such a strong team fight, and where the Mega Gnar ultimate could potentially disengage a lot of that, like just throw it away. Kind of like you're taking trash, like in the last game. But
yeah, and the TP being swapped out there, which I think.
Okay, there we go.
Which
makes more sense.
Makes a bit more sense. At these lower elos, it's a little bit harder to abuse somebody for not taking teleport, so it's easier to get away with taking something like Ignite, but like you mentioned, if you are going to go Ignite and go for a kill top lane, which by taking Ignite, that's what you're kind of sending the message you're going to do, something other than a Gnar probably would be a better pick like that, something you can snowball off of with that Ignite, get the kill in lane, keep the Malphite down, not let him get into team fights and ult off of that. But I feel like the Gnar with the teleport is going to be a little bit better because you can TP into those fights with Gnar, have the split push going on, and Gnar is a bit better a split pusher than Malphite is.
That's definitely true. The nice thing is you can itemize a Sunfire Cape, which will at least allow him to push a little bit harder. But Diana jungle is another thing that I kind of want to talk about a little bit here because we don't see it too often, mostly in solo queue. Diana, they've been trying to figure out what kind of champion they want it to be because they're just very clear they don't want it to be an assassin because it's very silly in the amount of jumps that they have, how much damage is output in such a short amount of time, how much of it is very unavoidable also. But yeah. Diana jungle is something that clears well only once she has a bunch of AP, so she can make use of her passive.
And they haven't. I'm assuming they're going to swap out here because, of course, Gabez 19 is their jungler, but I'm not sure. That'd be weird if they swapped Beyond Deadly into the jungle there. But hey, you never know if they would throw Diana in the jungle. But it's like you were saying, Diana is kind of not the same. They've changed her a bit, not recently, but back in the day there. She's not the same assassin she used to be. I like her more in the jungle than I do in the mid lane, personally. But I've seen a lot of Diana jungles just entirely snowball games, just run games literally entirely by themselves. They get a gank early, snowball from there, and then just control the entire map. So we'll see if that's what they're doing, and it is going to be Beyond Deadly in the jungle. They are swapping roles right now. Gabez 19 is going to be playing Morgana mid lane here, and it's going to be Diana jungle from Beyond Deadly, who was on LeBlanc and pretty much hard carried that last game. LeBlanc and Nasus, even though I mentioned before, of course, Aunt Jemima and the crew was a team effort there, but Nasus and LeBlanc were definitely kind of the star players of that game. So they've swapped roles here, and let's see how Beyond Deadly can do with that Diana jungle. I like the fact that he's on a similar kind of let's just get a snowball going. I imagine that's what he's going to try and do in this Diana jungle. He's going to try and get a kill early and just snowball the game from there like he did with the LeBlanc, because he was super aggressive in the early game there on the LeBlanc, 1v1ing Zed in lane.
Absolutely, and the Braum ultimate is something that we have to consider as well here, because his ultimate can definitely slow down that engage from here. But Malphite, of course, is called Unstoppable Force, so it's going to be scary if you're severe in the backline here. Now, Morgana versus the mid lane of Yasuo, it seems like it's just going to be a farm fest, to be honest. And it's an AP champion that specializes in dealing with AP champions in Morgana against an AD champion. So this is looking pretty good for Yasuo, getting into that point where he needs to be strong so he can supplement, or at least, you know, make that all that AoE and that wombo combo so meaningful coming from the side of purple side.
Yeah, his ult doesn't do that much until you get a few items on him, but like you said, that Morgana in the mid lane there, it probably won't have much kill potential unless that Diana does come and they try and land some snares onto Yasuo, but Yasuo's so mobile with his E, as long as he's keeping enemy minions alive to dash through and dodge those snares, dodge the CC, he should be fine in lane. And to be honest, Morgana's actually a bad pick against Yasuo in mid lane. Normally when you pick Morgana mid, it's a counter. We're saying we're picking Morgana mid to shut down your mid laner, like you said, usually an AP champion, Black Shield, things like that. But Yasuo isn't really the same type of champion that you're shutting down. And even if you are picking up Yasuo, I would have liked to seen Gabez take an exhaust there, even though Morgana is nice with the ignite because there's more kill potential, she doesn't have that much damage. The exhaust would really shut down Yasuo, I feel. They're going to have to rely on themselves not getting grouped up into team fights and not getting stuck in a position where they get 5-man ultied by everybody and the wombo combo comes to fruition here for Comeback Kids.
Absolutely, as we're going to get into the loading screen, thank you all for joining us once more. This is a RandomCS tournament. We host tournaments pretty much every week, at least once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times a week sometimes. We host ARAM silver and below, gold and below, challenger sometimes. We've got a lot of challenger players. Last week, if you saw me in Street Bowl, cast those. And we give away a whole bunch of free RP. So the only cost to you guys is your time. You can check us out and all the events we're having at randomcs.com. Check out our Facebook page. Give us a like, r/CS on Facebook. And if you like our stream, if you think, our corny jokes are somewhat funny, then you can always follow our Twitch streams. So you can check out our next streams. I'm going to be streaming a lot of games here, along with Street Bowl, along with our other casters who you can see on our website as well. We got profiles for everyone there. So thanks so much for joining us. And we got a gold border here. That's a little out of regulation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what's interesting about these, of course, tournaments at the beginning of the seasons is everybody's kind of working their way. It's a little bit wishy-washy. So Beyond
Right.
Deadly, rocking the gold border, was gold last season, but probably stuck in silver right now. Hasn't played enough games or has been having some bad luck, just not on top of his game to get back into gold right here. But hey, at the beginning of the season, it's kind of a free-for-all. It's whatever you are, then that's what you are right now. We still have some unranked people that were like, say, Challenger last season or something. There's a bunch of weird stuff. I'm sitting on unranked right now, so you wouldn't know what I am unless you saw that border there. Who knows? I could be.
And you wouldn't want to know.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to know. Don't ask. As I'm gonna switch these things up here, get this little comp in order. But it's really gonna be relying on Comeback Kids to reach team fight phase and get that wombo combo going.
Yeah, welcome to the Summoner's Rift, everyone. We've got Aunt Jemima's and the crew. Still trying to find out who Aunt Jemima was, because there's no Janna in this game, so clearly it wasn't Janna. But maybe Aunt Jemima is just the fanboy on the sides in the Twitch channel. If you're there, although I did see a couple Aunt Jemima fanboys, Aunt Jemima, specifically speaking of Aunt Jemima fanboy 69 and Aunt Jemima fanboy 70, thank you for joining us in the Twitch chat. It's great to have you guys here supporting your home crowd, wherever you may be. Once again, anywhere in North America, wherever you are, you can sign up for these tournaments. It's kind of everyone just playing from wherever you're chilling, whether it be Boston, East Coast, and 300 ping or whatever you guys gotta have over there. We're on the West Coast, of course, so we have like 10 ping. It's really nice some days.
Yeah, sometimes it gets really bad and goes
provider.
up to 15, and then we stop playing because that's just too much.
Yeah,
Too much of a
15 is
delay.
really like, I just like, this doesn't feel right, guys. Like, how do people play like this?
There's too much lag. Actually, we're joking about that, but it's hilarious. I just got a new computer and started streaming, and now that I'm streaming, there's a little bit more, of course, ping, because my internet is being soaked up by streaming as well. So my ping's actually gone. Like I said, we're joking about this, but it's kind of true. My ping went from 25 to about 50 or so, and I've noticed the delay. I've noticed the delay, and I'm like, wow, I need to get used to this delay. And then I talk to East Coast people, and they're like, yeah, I'm on 180 ping. Screw you.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, any sort of little delay, there's a difference. It's between the difference between, of course, instant and kind of having to proc your spells earlier. I got pulled by a Blitzcrank when I was trying to bait out the Black Shield from Morgana right there in a last game I had, and unfortunately I didn't time it properly. Where I was like, oh, if I had my old ping, I would have timed that right, and I wouldn't have got pulled.
Right.
But it's
Too
all
funny,
about adapting to whatever you have currently, because we've seen some people with high ping. I remember, of course, the example I always use is Broken Shard earning the spot for complexity from Europe with like 200 ping or something, still beating out the other contenders for that jungle role when they were chilling on about 50 ping or so. So ping doesn't matter that much as long as you know what you're doing.
So Broken Shard is really the best player in the world, is what you're saying.
Well, that's the thing. That's the problem, though, is as soon as he came from EU to NA, it was like, oh, okay, well, you're not any better that you've got the difference in ping now. I mean, maybe be a little bit better, but still wasn't a world beater, unfortunately. I do like Broken Shard, though. I think he's probably a better coach than a player, I feel, and I think that he'll do well for some team when I think him and Prawley are dealing with H2K right now, I believe.
I think so, yeah. I had something about that. He's always on Richard Lewis's show, True Blood, or First Blood.
Yeah,
the True Bloods.
Richard
no
Lewis's
here.
show, True Blood. Yeah, with
allowed.
That would be very funny. But yeah, absolutely, he's quite the personality.
Broken Shard is a wizard.
Fun guy to listen to with a lot of game knowledge. So shout out to Broken Shard. But just I always use that as an example when people talk about ping and stuff like that. Is there's always ways around any sort of deficiency that you have in your setup or whatever it is. There's the hook on Braum, but he props the shield.
Damn. There you go. Nice shield reactions there to block that, most of the damage from that hook at least. Now this is a lane that's interesting because Ice Cold Killer, also the Severe in last game for Aunt Jemima, really just like to shove the tower up here. But you're against an AD carry now who can equally shove just as fast in the form of Jinx. Oh, and that mid lane, Yasuo is doing quite a bit of damage to Morgana. That's going to be quite a nasty experience for her.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the action in mid lane right there. It's pretty much Yasuo dodging around and Morgana trying to hit a skill shot of some sort. But like you said in the bot lane here, Sivir, usually with her Ricochet, just pretty much just shoves lanes in. She can't freeze that well, but like you said, Jinx has a lot of wave clear as well with her cannon, and they're just shoving the wave against each other right now to kind of deny that.
Oh no, lots of damage. Oh, nice binding coming up from Gabez. He might have actually fallen there with the Ignite still up from semi-conformed TRP.
Yeah.
Shut up, man.
Yeah, nice name there. Okay, but yeah, Gabez 19 played that perfectly. You need to be really, really careful with this matchup. This matchup reminds me of a matchup that I play sometimes. People will think I'm insane for this, but I play Lux into Zed a lot of the time. Here's Diana trying to get some kills. Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of the same situation as Morgana into Yasuo. It's like, well, that's stupid. They have a ton of mobility. You're not going to be able to hit your snare. Without your snare, you're useless. But if you bait out the movement, and that's exactly what we saw Gabez do there, we're like, okay, Yasuo has nothing to dash to now. Now's when I throw the point-blank snare. And if you lock them down, you can explode them pretty darn quick. When those high-mobility champions do get locked down, then they're pretty screwed. Oh, unfortunately, the hook hitting a minion right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, those high mobility champions, if you can CC them and lock them down, they do get countered. It's just a matter of actually hitting that CC. And it's the same kind of thing with Morgana as it is with Lux. You hit your Q binding and you're good to go. You miss it and you're screwed.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true here. And the nice thing, I guess, in a similar case to you, if you were playing against Zed, it's a lot of damage gets picked out. Oh, Death Send is just barely missing. And this rather late spell shield from Ice Cold Killer there, not a problem at all. But if you're playing Morgana against someone like Zed, your spell shield at least gives you a great opportunity to waste Zed's ultimate, I believe. I think it just negates it completely. So that's another good one. And then the binding action is much the same way. So yeah, I mean, Morgana's not a terrible pick. It's just going to be abused a lot in the early game.
And this is where I mentioned before, if I was playing, and I'll revert back again because I don't play the Morgan. There's this. Oh, Braum actually eats it. Oh, interesting.
Nice.
But I'll go back to this again, where it's basically I like to take the exhaust against that assassin. We mentioned in the game before we were talking about this, where the mid laner was possibly going to take an exhaust against an Ahri, which Ahri's not really an assassin anymore, so don't worry about it. But Yasuo is an assassin. If you have that exhaust, you're going to be fine.
Here we go.
Beyond Deadly is burning flashes all over the map here, but he hasn't capitalized on any of these burnt flashes yet. He needs to come back to mid lane and get a kill, and then come back to top lane and get a kill after.
He actually hasn't even backed for his upgrade on his Poacher's Knife yet, so Space Ugliest wants to get something started here, but taking a lot of damage. Oh, the hook just barely misses him. That would have not looked so good for him.
I think Strove is actually, judging by how many minions he's killed with that hook, I think he's using the hook to last hit.
Yeah.
I think what he's doing is throwing them out, so he's like, if I miss this hook, I'll last hit the minion. And if I hit them, then I hit them. Great. So he's kind of doing a smart idea right there. And I do like using the hook for last hits, but the problem is he has no mana right now. So now he has no combo set up for any play later. So they're going to have to kind of either wait or go back to base right now. So even though the hook is a great way to last hit and proc that relic shield, you're kind of wasting a lot of mana.
That's true. It's definitely mana intensive. The thing that I really like to do on Thresh is sort of, it works great as a binding comes out actually. Oh, and there will be no knockup from the Max Shield. That's nice. But the nice thing about Thresh is if you coordinate with your AD carry and you say like, I'm going to hit this, kill this minion of Ray at this time, and then I'm going to throw the like Dark Bind or the Thresh Hook right through the minion, you can oftentimes get a lot of really sneaky death sentences that way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And actually, we saw Crepo doing some stuff like
There's
that
one.
when he was on. Oh, has to flash over the traps there. Space Ugly just playing it safe there, keeping himself alive. We actually saw Crepo do that a fair amount back when he was on his little smite train, where he would take smite as support all the time. Oh, bit of a whiff there by
only level 5 coming out from Beyond Deadly. They're not going to have enough damage to kill this guy, unfortunately. But there's the Yasuo ult getting knocked out there. Still Ignite up, so there's going to be some death potential still.
Yep, that flash is still down for Yasuo, so Diana can still come back. But once Diana hits level 6, that's when her ganks become potent. Before then, I feel like she's not as strong, and I feel like Beyond Deadly probably needs to farm just a little bit more before he can do these all-in aggressive things. And unfortunately, the flash might be back up for Yasuo by that point. But yeah, as we were mentioning before, in the bottom there, of course, Crepo had been going on that smite spree where he was taking smite as support all the time, and that's one of the best ways you can use it, like you said.
Oh, yes.
If you can, that's a much easier to communicate way than, of course, trying to communicate with your ADC. But you can smite and then shoot your hook or your Blitzcrank pull or whatever it is, whatever skill shot it is, past the minion that just died from you smiting it. Or, like you said, use your AD carry to last hit and then throw the minion through there. It's always a good idea to try and throw those skill shots when your opponent thinks you can't be hit by it. So I like to throw skill shots like in between minions, like try and split the minions and get the kills, because people will be like, oh, I'm behind minions, I'm good to go, and they won't try the juke. Sometimes they get hit by it. Same thing with like Nidalee spears, any sort of skill shot. I go back to this again, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So even if you feel like this might not hit, if you think it's going to be worthwhile and it's a decent shot, then go ahead. If it's not going to blow your mana, why not throw it? Sometimes you'll hit, and it'll actually turn the lane for you sometimes.
Totally true. Well, got a lot of harass coming onto the Mavinator in the top lane. This looks like he's going to be itemizing for 2 different items right now, actually. Beyond Deadly hitting level 6 with the blue buff now. Regen enough mana to make something happen. Top lane flash still not down, so that's possibly a place he's going to go for this.
Yeah, they're gonna, like I said before, he's like, okay, Yasuo's, the flash timer's gone, he has to just bail on that idea, but they do have the flash down on Malphite in the top lane. He is level 6 though, which is pretty much the equivalent of a longer range flash. Of course, it's not instant like a flash, but it's an unstoppable force, and you can just go even longer than a flash. Oh, there's the ult.
Alrighty then, he's gonna get hit by a Dark Binding at some point. There it is. Ultimate comes out as well. Oh, Beyond Deadly with the flash coming in from behind. He's got another proc on his...
Whoa!
No? Blocked by the wall, of course. Oh, Gabez is gonna fall. Perhaps. Oh, yeah, he's gonna be 1-for-1 in the mid lane there. Lots of summoners being blown. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Space Ugliest with a great Glacial Fissure, but he's gonna fall directly to the Super Mega Death Rocket. Space Ugliest is not really sure what he wants to do here, actually. He's gonna fall to the Flay. It's unfortunately gonna be another kill. Double kill for Collective in the case of...
Collective of Borg and Strove had 3 out of 4 Braum passives on each of them, and that is so unfortunate.
Nice.
They were not able to proc the Braum passive. Braum went in there and got a nice little double ultimate knockup. He kind of flashed in. I know he didn't flash in, sorry, he just jumped in there. And the W follow-up. The ult from Jinx, though. Oh, Hook just barely misses.
Just barely.
Beyond Deadly forced away, though. He does have his ultimate now, though, so he can try and make some plays with that. But going in 1v2 is not what you want to do. Really good play by the comeback kids in the bot lane, picking up a kill for their Jinx right there. If Jinx gets rolling, she's going to be a monster in team fights.
Man, I like that little rhyme you did there. Rhyming like you're doing a haiku.
Did I just rhyme? I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was good. Just
5
don't
seconds
worry
ago.
about it.
I'll just play it off like, yeah, I meant to do that. I literally could not tell you a word of what I had just said. My mind goes blank. But they have a ton of
Some would say that Straight Bull is a robot because he casts so much.
Yeah,
I don't know how anybody can do that.
Oh my god, nice flash. Oh, and the hippity hop away from Hurricane Doug, keeping himself barely alive. I thought for sure that was going to be a kill. Good reaction time from Hurricane Doug. But yeah, absolutely. Once you cast as much as I do, you kind of just, everything just melds into one, and it's like, wait, what happened in that last game? It's really hard to keep track of
running a script program on your voice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then sometimes I'll try and speak like the next day, and I just won't be able to talk, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I was talking for like many hours those past few days. I should probably rest my voice. But it is tons of fun to cast games, and I love it. Even though, of course, like I said, we were watching a lower elo, it's still hecka exciting to watch these games. Like, we see Yasuo dominating this mid lane, which, to be honest, even though I thought he was going to win the mid lane, I didn't think he'd be winning this hard in CS. I thought it'd be more help from Diana to keep Morgana back in line, but Yasuo went ham, traded the 1-for-1 kill. He just wanted to get his static shift as fast as possible. He's like, I don't care if I die, I'm just going to get myself a kill, get myself fed, and I'll carry the game from that.
That's actually a really good point you bring up here, because due to the relative scalings, and especially the way that this team composition is oriented, the more items that you can get on Yasuo, irrespective of if you're giving kills to the enemy team, as long as you're giving items to Yasuo, it's going to amplify the damage of the entire team, because they're just going to run in with the Unstoppable Force, and the Wukong Cyclone, of course, which is still up for this team fight, actually. They're going to go in, oh my goodness, a massive Cyclone, and Yasuo is just going to be able to get an ultimate on all 4 people. The chains are coming off on him as well, but this is disgusting for them. I am American Dog, 2-man ultimate, actually. Holy cow, they actually turned this fight right around for the side with a massive wombo combo. I have Hurricane Doug, of course, just gonna fall on the side there too. In all of that, who did the dragon go to? Actually, it went over to the blue side.
Yeah, Diana was able to pick up the dragon there. Strove actually using his hook there for a last hit again. This time on a champion. He's 3-0-3, so that's kind of unnecessary, but hey, nice. Red buff for Thresh, why not? But yeah, actually in that fight, I just want to point out, and Collective of Borg did not play that fight well at all, but it didn't matter. His team just followed up, like I said, with the Wombo combo. They did exactly what their comp is built for. What I would have liked to see from Collective of Borg is he used his ultimate way too soon, should have saved it and been patient, because it's an execute ultimate, and of course it's AoE as well, so you shoot it when everybody's on low, you shoot it after the Wombo combo comes in. There's the exhaust on Thresh. Can Diana follow this up?
All right, the stun is definitely going to happen onto Strove here. Deanna's there as well with the ultimate, not a problem. Another kill for Severe. So on the backside of that, the upshot is they got 1 kill onto someone who's 3-0, roughly giving them about 400 gold. So that's pretty good. We'll have to see if they can turn this into another turret here, because they lost a lot in that team fight.
And little things like that. There wouldn't have been the shutdown, because Thresh wouldn't have had 3 kills if he didn't last hit with that hook, which was unnecessary to get that kill there, giving more money over to Angemema and the crew. Even though it's a small little bit, it is still way more gold than they would have gotten from Thresh dying if he only had 2 kills there in the beginning. So little things like that add up over time. Unfortunately, a little bit of over-aggression trying to get that turret there from Comeback Kids in the bot lane. Good job of Beyond Deadly to pick up the kill there in the bottom. But unfortunately, in mid lane here, nice snare.
He has the tornado. No, he doesn't. Okay. Well, there goes the Ignite coming out from Semi-Conformed, but the problem for Gabez is there's... Oh, Deanna, and it looks like Gnar's going to be coming out of this lane as well. The aggression is not playing so well for him. Deanna's going to pick up that kill on the backside. 2-1. Skipping the jungle item looks like going right into a large rod. We're going to have to see what he's going to build there. Very excited to see that, actually.
And that was actually a really smart roam there by Gnar, because he knows that Malphite can't push that fast, plus the TP is down. Gnar can roam way faster than Malphite can. Comes in, helps out his mid laner, and they need to shut down this Yasuo. You see Morgana, he's catching up a little bit in CS right now, got some decent... Actually, he finished a Rod of Ages right there, has some decent assists. But like we were saying before, Yasuo really just wants to get items, and then turn team fights like he did before, but if they can shut him down and deny some of that farm, that'll pay dividends for Aunt Jemima and the crew.
Yeah, Osama bin Laden, sorry. Walking around the bot lane, trying to see... That turret is gone, mind you, and that's the first turret of the game so far, which accumulates to a lot of the gold advantage that this team has against the Aunt Jemima crew. Have to see what their strategy is going to the... I mean, really, team fights is really what they want to do at this point, so...
Yeah.
Shove up the mid lane and group, I'd say.
Exactly. Now that they've taken the bot lane turret, what you want to do is just shove this lane in and then roam around to mid and group up. You've got a Yasuo, so he's going to be really strong pushing down that turret's mid lane. And he's kind of dominating Morgana here as you see him going with the ult again.
Jesus.
I like how Gabez has been using the snares, though. He's been being really patient with his snares. That's necessary against a Yasuo. Here comes
Yeah,
Diana.
that's good. Seems like he's just... Oh, nice wind wall to block the Q. Beyond Deadly isn't going to be able to get... Oh, has to burn the flash as well away. One more Q, perhaps. Dodges away from the tornado. Cyclone is going to come out of the door. I don't know if you want to go on that with Osama bin Laden. Oh, you're going to be taken down as well. That's quite the unfortunate turn of events for the side of... For these guys.
Yeah,
one more damage coming to the mid lane as well.
That was definitely over-aggression from Comeback Kids. They're trying so hard to get Yasuo fed, and in turn, they're actually feeding their opponents, Aunt Jemima and the crew. Sure, they're picking up kills and stuff like that, but Morgana is right back in this game. She was starved earlier. Now she's pretty much caught up in CS. She's got 2 kills and 4 assists now, which is pretty much the same as Yasuo, except half the deaths. So unfortunately, even though Yasuo was dominating this lane and picking up kills early, too much over-aggression, you kind of have to stop at a certain point. He picked up the static shiv, and I think they wanted to capitalize on that item spike right there, but you can't just force it. You can't dive into the turret like that. Osama bin Laden there, unfortunately possibly lag under the turret there, but flashes away, dies even before the turret shot actually hits him there. Dead Monkey in mid lane, wasted flash unfortunately, and too much over-aggression for Comeback Kids, and there might be a comeback from Aunt Jemima and the crew right now, because Comeback Kids were in control of this game just a few minutes ago, and now they're not.
Yeah. Nars rotating the top lane though. He's actually got another reset onto his ultimate. The Mavinator does have his ultimate. He's just going to use it away and Supple Force right into his own turret. One turret apiece, as we saw on the backside of that. Aunt Jemima's team getting the turret in the bot lane for themselves. So the gold is going to be equatable, but the team fight presence from Comeback Kids is not something to be discounted, even in equal gold. Oh, here comes the Cyclone. No ultimate coming from the Mavinator, though. Oh, the Sanya's has been built and completed for Beyond Deadly. We're going to have to see if he's going to fall in this case, though. Just not a lot of damage coming from their side. Gabez is going to fall as well, unfortunately. Oh, my goodness. There we go. Little dash out on his own minions.
I feel like Gabez, even though it was kind of almost inevitable that he would die there, I feel like he could have kited around his own minions and turret a little bit better. When you've got all those kind of objectives in the way, or not objectives, but just sort of kind of things on the map. Nice trap there from Jinx. Forces Braum to go around the side path.
And so he's going to take the Lantern out. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get all the way out of here. He's going to want to fight this Flash being burned as well. The box is going to keep them safe, though. But you see that snowball potential in that bot lane. Once Severe and Braum get a little bit ahead of their opposing bot laners and the Comeback Kids, they can just run them over with On the Hunt, especially if they can get enough stuns or procs from Space Ugliest stun passive.
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of a misplay there from their bot lane again. Collective of Borg burns his heal and his flash by going back in and using his W on Ice Cold Killer when he had the spell shield up. There was no real reason to do that. Use the teleport from Malphite, though. They're going to force a fight. Malphite's way by himself, though.
Oh, I don't know really what he's going to want to be doing here. Looks like the rest of his team is going to be able to collapse onto him. Flash maybe not entirely necessary here. But with the dragon coming up, they really want to get this next dragon so they can get that 6% damage increase across the board.
Malphite's ult just came back up. If he had waited 10 seconds to teleport, he could TP and ult immediately right now and have that wombo combo for his team. Instead, he has no flash, no TP, and is just sitting on his ult right now that it's finally back up. So they can still win this fight. The side of Anchemima and the crew need to split up. Not split up entirely, but just make sure they're spread out enough so they can't get 5-man womboed.
They want it. Oh, Yasuo in the back getting caught with a binding here. This is extremely... Oh, 4-man ultimate coming out. Huge wombo combo. Cyclone to come up with that as well. Yasuo is going to be picking up kill after kill after kill. 3 men going down already. 2 men left in the back here. Nar's going to try to hop out. Ice Cold Killer is finally going to be taken down. Semi-Conformity is going to be blown up as well. That was disastrous. And the dragon's still up for the taking.
And that's the problem. The side of Anchemima and the crew really set themselves up for that. When you're stuck in a small area like the river outside of Dragon, it's hard to not be all stacked on top of each other. Great ultimate to engage by the Mavinator right there. And the wombo combo follows up. That's entirely what Comeback Kids wants to do. And the side of Anchemima and the crew need to recognize that and not be stacked on top of each other for those fights. You can't get engaged on that. You can't be in that situation. And unfortunately, even though, like I mentioned before, Comeback Kids, they haven't been playing these fights that well, to be honest, but they've just been using the ultimates at the right time, and that's entirely what their combo was built around. If you hit the ultimates, it doesn't matter what else you do, you're good to go.
Absolutely, and now all of that gold advantage, we're going to see a 5k, another mid-turret getting taken on the upshot of that for semi-conformed. All of that gold damage is only going to amplify the power of these ultimates when synergized together. So, I mean, if you're the side of the Anchemima crew, if you want to stay in this tournament after such a dominating performance in the last game, well, the strategy probably is going to have to be kind of split up and diversify the opponents into different lanes. Don't allow them to put you around on that dragon anymore, because really the first couple 3-4 dragons won't mean a lot for that team.
And this is where what I talked about earlier, and I believe it was Champ Select or possibly the loading screen there, where I'm like, Nara is a better split pusher than Malphite. Now, Malphite, like I mentioned before, he's building straight tank, so he's going to want to just have the ultimate for the team fight. He wants TP in, ultimate for the team fight, where if you force him into a split push and force him to defend 1v1, he's not going to be nearly as useful, especially like we were saying before. He's slowly building into the Sunfire here, but it's not completed yet, so his pushing power is not that great right now. I'd love to see them just have Malphite stuck in an island by himself. Even if Nar's not in the team fights, who cares? If you're keeping Malphite away, the wombo isn't as strong. Like you said, you just have to split up Comeback Kids. You can't have them fighting 5v5 if you're going to be playing team fights like Anchemima and the crew did right there. They kind of dilly-dallied around Dragon, got engaged on, and Comeback Kids are going to win every single fight when they start out with a 4-man Malphite ult.
Yeah, you can kind of see the dialogue coming up from Comeback Kids, you know. Semi-conform saying to the Mavinator, like, hey man, just like go in, like your ult's so easy to land, they're all together, like just go in, I swear I'm gonna land my ultimate on top of yours. And after debating for a while, they're like, okay, let's just do this, let's try it.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have really good communication, especially for that Yasuo ult. I remember I used to play on a ranked team where our mid laner was all about Yasuo main, and I would play Tristana AD carry a lot, and he'd be like, you ready to go? Just tell me when you're ready to go, and I'm like, I'm ulting, tap that ult. Nice counter ultimate there by Malphite.
Oh, this Beyond Deadly with the Zanyas. Yeah, they're going to take him out just fine. I'm Hurricane picking up all that slot. Oh, but Yasuo's in the top lane as well. This is not looking so good for them in this case. The Flash getting burned as well. One little hop coming out, but he's going to get taken down by Yasuo. Double kill for him. That's going to make this very problematic for the next dragon fight.
Wow, yeah, so that was a really good counter Malphite ultimate by Mavinator underneath the turret, but extremely well played turret dive by the side of Anchemima and the crew. Beyond Deadly with the Zonias dropped the turret aggro, and then I Am Hurricane Doug picked it up after to allow his Diana to get out. The problem was beautiful roam by semi-conformed TRP there on Yasuo, and not only is he going to pick up the double kill in top lane there, but take down the turret as well.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'm kind of worried about, now this game is going great for the side of Comeback Kids, and they may very well win this game off the combination of their wombo combo, but in future games that they're going to move on towards, we've seen a kind of aggression out of semi-conform that we don't really see from too many mid laners, and it's really been kind of fortunate that he's been able to turn around a lot of these plays in the mid game just because of the composition they have. But that's something to definitely keep in mind here if this team moves on into the semifinals.
Yeah, so what's kind of allowed Yasuo to come back and not really care about what he's doing anymore is the fact that he's ridiculously far ahead in CS right now. Morgana kind of got screwed over. She's been sitting at below 100 CS, just coming over it right now for a long time now. They used to be almost even. I believe only behind by 10 at one point was Morgana. Well, Deadly needs to be careful here. Oh,
lots of damage. Oh, Space Ugly is gonna take that. Great for his entire team. Gonna throw down the Glacial Fissure there. Oh, the Cyclone is on nothing, but here comes Yasuo only on the one person, but they might have enough resets from the collective of Borg in the backline that it won't even matter as 4 have already been fallen. I am Hurricane Doug just trying to frantically chase after Osama Bin Laden. He's gonna fall as well though, just not enough movement speed to catch up with him.
Yeah, and Comeback Kids are at the point in the game where they can Malphite ult one person, and it doesn't matter on the team fight. That last team fight we saw on a Dragon was really kind of the tipping point where it's like, alright, now we're in a space where we can't come back unless they make a mistake, really. And Comeback Kids, even though, like I said before, they play that team fight a little bit sloppy.
Steam fight.
That Steam fight, yeah. Too was steamy in that fight there. Collective of Borg has actually, and I say this a lot, but he's kind of learned as the team fights have gone on. His first team fight was very sloppy as Jinx. He was using cannon shots when he could have been using his machine gun melee, used the ultimate too early. Now he's saving his ultimates for when people are low on health, got a triple kill there, using his cannons to start things off, and then using the machine gun as he comes in when people get into melee range. He's playing Jinx way better in these team fights, and in that situation they didn't have the exact wombo combo they did before, but now that Collective of Borg is playing those team fights properly as Jinx, you're good to go. And you're so far ahead at this point, it doesn't matter anyways. Even if you do screw up a little bit, you're still fine. But Collective of Borg is playing way better in these team fights on Jinx so far. Each one, he's improving a little bit more, and he's at a point right now where he's playing them very well. And Aunt Jemima and the crew need to worry about Jinx, where before, that wasn't really a problem for them.
Yeah, I guess in retrospect here, Space Ugliest with the Braum pickup. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not think the Janna was picked up in this case. And having picked the support player as one of their last picks, Janna might actually have been an excellent pick in this case.
Yeah, Janna possibly would have been a good pick, but the only problem I see is that Janna could easily be blown up with this comp, and that's one of Janna's biggest weaknesses. Right. She's the disengaged queen, except when she's disengaging for herself. If people can lock her down and blow her up immediately, and that's what I'd be afraid of, is them starting out the fights with, hey, there's Janna, Malphite ult, Wukong ult, Yasuo ult on top of that, Janna's dead, and then they have no disengage once they're already on top. Now that's
very real worry.
It could be good for them in, here comes Braum as well as Dragon. No. Dragon looks like he's on the side of Aunt Jemima.
Is this what we're going to want to do here? I'm not sure if they want to even try to contest this Dragon. Just go for the mid lane turret, in my opinion.
Exactly. Just go split push somewhere else. Their top lane's pushing as well. Take mid, rotate up top, take top turret. Give up whatever you want to Comeback Kids. Don't force them into a 5v5 fight right now, because you can't win.
Absolutely. The Dragon's going to be falling over to them once more. Dragon number 3, and they're going to want to have engaged on the backside of this, but wisely disengaging. Do have on the hunt if they keep chasing. Lots of slows coming in from Gnar as well. The binding's been quite good, actually. No, what are you doing here? Beyond Deadly going right to the backside with the Sonya's, but there's no follow-up for him. He's just going to fall one for nothing. Oh, 3-man ult! They're going to have to wombo combo. There's nothing left to cast here. Goodbye, Cruel Worlds. I'm just going to let it play out now.
That was really unfortunate for Henchman. Oh, the flash pecking! Hey, yo! Get him! Get him! Oh,
hey.
No!
There we go.
I thought he was going to grab Yasuo. I would have been super stoked for Hurricane Doug if he had gotten that kill right there. But unfortunately, that was just really big miscommunication for Aunt Jemima and the crew. Like we were saying, while they're with the Dragon contention, don't bother fighting 5v5. Let them have the Dragon. Take out mid, rotate top, do something else. Unfortunately, they let them have the Dragon, and then force a team fight on top of that. Beyond Deadly, Beyond Dead as he goes in 1v5. The Zonya's not going to save you right there. And then Hurricane Doug actually jumped over the wall, kind of, to be like, I want to be a part of the wombo combo too. I want to get hit too. Oh, there's Braum. Yep, gets the shutdown.
Oh, Beyond Lagan just somehow is just going to die in that fight as well. Space Ugly is taking a lot of damage here. Beautiful wind wall. Going to block a lot of the damage coming up from Severe and Morgana. They're going to want to keep going on this one, though. Maybe a wise decision to back up at this point, although they potentially could have kept pushing there. Easy Baron at this point, though.
Yeah, I think they're going to play it safe right now. They're at reasonably low health, so I think they're just going to call it a back here. They're happy with the Dragon that they picked up as well as the inhibitor right there. But the wind walls of semi-confirmed TRP have just been on point this entire game. Really strong wind walls. And he's opted to pick up the Bloodthirster after finishing the Infinity Edge and Static Shiv. So having the Bloodthirster shield as well as lifesteal on top of the Merc Treads for the tenacity, as well as MR is really going to keep him alive against a kind of CC heavy team here. So I think that's going to be a good pickup for Yasuo as well, specifically because he has such an aggressive play style. Semi-conform TRP is oh, there's the first pause of the game as he DCs right
He's
here.
DC'd.
Yep, there we go. So finally, we actually have a pause here when somebody DCs. All the other people were just like, who cares, whatever, let them DC. We don't mind at all. But they're like, we need to wait for semi-conform TRP to get back here. A little bit of a preemptive pause is probably saying
He's the catalyst for our entire composition. We need to wait for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that Yasuo really is kind of, like you said, the catalyst for this team comp. You really built it around that Yasuo. Sure, there's other wombo combo comps, but the Wukong and the Malphite were specifically picked for that Yasuo to get some people up in the air for him to ult. And when you have that comp built around them, it's really strong. The Jinx, even part of that comp as well, in that she has those cannon shots, which are AoE, great for team fights, can shoot from safety in the back, and the ultimate, of course, for the actual true ultimate wombo combo. And Jinx is 10-0-12 right now. So even though Collective of Borg could have been playing better in the earlier team fights, he didn't put himself in a situation to die, which is really all you need to do, is just keep yourself alive. I will say as an AD carry, just survive and do damage. You don't need to make any crazy fancy plays, just survive and do consistent damage from the back line. And so far, Collective of Borg has been doing that to a T, and he's been rewarded right now with a KDA of 22.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about the wombo combo, I mean, it must be a dream to be an AD carry on a team where it's like, yeah, we're going to group up and ultimate them and basically suspend them in midair for 3-4 seconds. And you're probably going to get like 6 or 7 auto attacks in that case. Probably 3 or 4 of those going to be crits. And if you hit more than one person with the rockets, you're going to hit like 3 or 4 crits on 4 people at once. So that's just gonna melt like butter in terms of the enemy team.
Yeah, with their team comp, if they get the engage that their team comp is built around, there's nobody to dive the back line. So as an AD carry, who normally you're like, oh, I have to kite back because they're going to be having someone dive me and need someone to peel for me, there's nothing attacking you whatsoever. You're free to just shoot whatever you want in those team fights. Like you said, they're just knocked up in the air, not doing anything, unfortunately. And Angemima and the crew need to make sure that when Malphite does engage with that ultimate there, they don't have too many priority targets that are getting hit by that, because they need to kind of allow the initial engage to happen from Comeback Kids, back off slightly, and then re-engage on top of them once those priority ultimates are burned. Like, say, once the Wukong ultimate is down, once Yasuo has leapt off, got back on the ground, he's come back off his feet there, and he's not slicing people up. Because once that initial burst is gone, they're not as strong in team fights, and there should be some more sustained damage. So I think that Ice Cold Killer should almost use his ultimate defensively to make sure that those engages don't happen on his team. But it could be that the Sivir ult gets baited out, and then they just engage after it's down anyway. So it's kind of a tricky little game they have to play here, because they can't engage in a 5v5 team fight anymore.
Yeah, and let's just kind of circle back to the start of the game. I mean, the team composition from Angemima and the crew is a little bit haphazard in the way it's constructed anyways. So would you say that, you know, a large part of the defeat in this case, which I'm going to assume that at some point or later, the Comeback Kids are going to close this game out now, having such a strong gold lead, that the pick and ban phase was the most influential on deciding the outcome of this game, or is it the case that they could have worked with their team composition, Aunt Jemima's crew, that is, in such a way that they could have avoided all this?
They could have, but yeah, the team comp for Comeback Kids has a direct purpose where there is no real direct purpose for Aunt Jemima and the crew's comp. And like you said, the picks and bans specifically were the most influential. They banned out the Warwick, which was taken by Gabez in the jungle, so they swapped their mid laner in jungle there. Gabez taking Morgana in the mid, Diana in the jungle, and neither of those two have been as effective as their counterparts in the previous game when they were playing Warwick and LeBlanc. Also, the Nasus in top lane can't be understated. Hurricane Doug has had not nearly the same effect he did on that as he was playing that Nasus. Now he's demolishing Malphite in CS, but unfortunately Malphite is contributing way more to these team fights, which is strictly based off that ultimate. And that's another reason why I always play Malphite in top lane, because I'm terrible at top, but all you have to do is just teleport in and get ults off for those team fights, and you will contribute to the team. We have a 19 KDA Malphite in top lane here, who's being demolished in CS by Gnar, but Gnar is sitting on 252, not helping his team out in the same way.
Right, and of course they're just kind of taking the baits at this point, the Aunt Jemima's crew, unfortunately. Just with the first dragon fight. I mean, so if there's a learning experience, because this is Silver and Below, and I'm assuming that none of you will be vain enough to tell me that, you know, your name is Vivu Roddick and you belong much higher than you are, and that you know everything about the game already, and it's really just your toxic fan base, which is another interesting thing, that sort of character that Vivu Roddick has created, we can talk about. But there are probably some things for you to learn. Not to say that we're the most mechanically gifted players or even the most strategically gifted players. But I'd say that's one thing is really just to play into your team's composition. And the composition they're really going for is this sort of split push centric composition. Unfortunately, with you pick Severe, you kind of pigeonhole your team into grouping, which is probably not what you wanted to do. So maybe the Severe was a little bit off place. Maybe you wanted something else. But yeah, they're definitely got to play within the team composition's limitations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the win conditions, and like we were saying in the Champ Select, Comeback Kids win conditions are group up as 5, force a team fight with the ultimate wombo combo. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, and it's very like, hey, like I said before, this is what we're gonna do. Try and stop us. And Aunt Jemima and the crew does not have the tools they need to stop them right now. Specifically at this point in the game. Earlier in the game, they probably could have done some things differently in order to limit the power from Comeback Kids, but Comeback Kids are at a point in the game where they're exactly where they need to be to make their combo work. They've got a Fed Jinx, they've got a Malphite who's landing his ults pretty much perfectly. The only time he didn't land a 4 or above ultimate was on the one person, I believe he ulted Gabez in that team fight in the mid lane right there. But that didn't even matter. They were so far ahead at that point, it didn't matter. But those early Malphite ults, I really feel, specifically that one around the dragon there, the 4-man, really allowed them to take control of this game and really push their comp to a point where even if they make mistakes at this point, I keep mentioning it, even if they make mistakes, it doesn't matter. They're so strong, they're so well coordinated as a unit in their actual deciding when they want to fight, and that's the most important thing in the game, I feel, right now. Obviously, you can talk about vision and things like that, but I feel like knowing to engage and having your team all on the same page, when do we want to engage, when do we not want to fight, just knowing when you want to have a battle and when you don't, and all being on the same page there. For example, in that fight off of the dragon, after Comeback Kids got the free dragon and Aunt Jemima crew was kind of fighting over their red, we saw Beyond Deadly jump in as Diana, and his team wasn't on the same page. He was like, hey guys, let's go, and they're like, wait, we can't get over the wall the same way you can.
How'd you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Diana jumping in 1v5, but he's like, I got the Zonias, I can stall, but it's not enough time for his team to get around. If everybody's on the same page, and
nor do they want to go in the first place.
Exactly, exactly, and that's where we mentioned before, you have to know exactly what your win conditions are, and unfortunately the win conditions for Aunt Jemima and the crew right now are pretty much whatever's left over in their bag, which at this point is split pushing, because they can't win team fights, so they have to push objectives and trade objectives elsewhere. They can't sit around a dragon and try and contest. They have to back off, push down mid. Like we said, they had a wave top, they could have gone to top lane. Anything they can do to try and trade objectives, because you're not going to win a fair fight at this point. You have to just try and kind of eat. It's basically you have to take a punch to give a punch at this point, where Comeback Kids can really just swing away and they're not going to eat much, where Aunt Jemima and the crew has to do something in order to make Comeback Kids react to them, because right now Aunt Jemima and the crew are reacting entirely to what Comeback Kids are doing.
That's a great point. The other thing I noticed throughout this game, which I noticed right when the Frozen Heart was completed on a Malphite, is the Frozen Heart is the perfect item against almost the entirety of Aunt Jemima's team, and maybe that's something you want to think about as well, the itemization. I mean, really props to him for picking Malphite, which synergizes so well with the Frozen Heart as a first item, but the Severe, obviously AD carry, Frozen Heart is a perfect item against AD carries. Deanna, a lot of her damage comes off of the auto attacks she can generate and how fast she can make them. And Nara, of course, in the 1v1 matchup, is just such a perfect item against him, because you decrease the attack speed, you decrease how often he gets the third proc and his attack speed, etc., etc. So yeah, it's kind of complicated when you take that into account.
Yeah, I feel like the side of Aunt Jemima and the crew, their comp kind of relies on Diana to do a lot of damage. You don't have that much damage coming from Morgana. She's a bit more CC-centric, where Diana is kind of like who you want to be doing your damage, really. I mean, there's Sivir, but she's, like I said before, more of a utility AD carry. Sure, she can do damage, but not the same as something like a Jinx. So you're relying a lot on your jungler to do some carrying, when you have the more supportive mid and AD carry there. Even in the top lane there, Gnar is much more of a tank, of course, Braum the tank as well, and then of course Diana needs to back up with that damage, where they don't have the damage, so the wombo combo is initially killing them anyways. They wouldn't have the damage to follow up on top of that, and Malphite building pure armor, because he's not afraid of Diana and he's not afraid of Morgana, and the armor, of course, will synergize well with Malphite's kit, giving him a bit more damage on his E as well. Malphite, if you can, you want to build straight armor on him, if you can get away with it, and in this game, they can definitely get away with it.
Absolutely. So, if you're just joining us, well, we're the RandomCS Thank you so much for joining us in the first place. This is the Silver and Below Summoner's Rift tournament. We give out a lot of RP, so if you guys are
Oh,
kind of curious or interested in doing what we're doing, what's up there?
sorry, I was just gonna say I just got informed we might actually be in a pause bug because I just got informed it says there might be an error here because the pause was not this long that and the side of Aunt Jemima and the crew decided to surrender during the pause, I believe actually.
Oh, so we might be just stuck in an
Yeah,
endless
so
loop.
I think what we're gonna do is actually call this game here and just call it a win for Comeback Kids because I think we are stuck in this pause, which it should not have been going on for this long. so
That is too funny. Yeah, their red team wins. Okay, well, thank you for joining us.
hey.
And we have the red team, which is, of course, the Comeback Kids with the Wombo Combo team comp. Just press R and win, basically. And, of course, all of the auto attacks coming out, easily critting on Collective of Borg, being able to just clean up those team fights. So, any other analysis? We had about, like, 10 minutes of analysis, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can probably just cut this right now because we've really talked
Yeah.
about all that is going on in the game there. And like we mentioned before, game pretty much over. So a called for surrender from Aunt Jemima and the crew. Nothing. You can say bad about them surrendering this. They kind of knew that they were done after those team fights took place. Pretty crazy. But we'll get into a little pause here as we get into the next lobby. It'll be getting set up much shorter than last time here. We'll be getting to the next game very quickly. We'll be right back. We are the Random Championship Series, randomcs.com. My name's Streetbull. You can find me on Twitch TV/Streetbull, @Streetbull, and I'm casting alongside Campagnolo. You can find on Twitch.tv/Campagnolo as well. So we'll be right back in the next lobby very shortly.
Hello, welcome back. It was just a quick delay. We're back with you at the Random CS Tournament, Silver and Below. My name is Campagnolo, joined by Streeple. We've got two teams playing, gonna duke it out for you. One team you just saw, the Comeback Kids, play an amazing wombo combo experience. I was absolutely livid. I was livid with joy, that is. And against Le Gravity has arrived. Hey, Streeple, how's it going, man?
Very good, thank you. And actually, we see the Yasuo first banned out there, so that is going to eliminate that comp. I mean, we can still kind of go with a wombo combo alt comp, but it's not going to be the same without that Yasuo for the knock-up comp. They could have the wombo alt comp, but not the same knock-up comp. And the Vi and LeBlanc being banned as well. So they're going against some kind of hard mid lane champ. Actually, the Nidalee being banned here as well for the side of Comeback Kids. So that's probably a jungle Nidalee ban, I'm assuming, 'cause that's what's popular right now. But we just saw, or I don't know if you guys saw that, I didn't see it, but I was told about it, Link playing Nidalee in the most recent CLG game here to great effect. I saw him playing that in solo queue, and I quite liked his play on that, so I was excited. I'm going to be watching that game as soon as it's done here. But he played it to great effect, and I like Nidalee in mid more than jungle. But hey, look at that, Mavinator right back on that Malphite, and Collective of Borg right back on the Jinx, so they're not deterred even though the Yasuo's gone.
Yeah, I mean, they forced a forfeit while we were DC'd. So sorry about that. We kind of went on for about 9 or 10 minutes. Well, the DC was having was a bug, apparently. But we got the Malphite coming out of the Jinx once more. Same pick so far. We're going to have to see at least one champion different, though, as the Yasuo was banned, as you mentioned. Wukong. There's the Wukong.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they're not deterred away from this this team comp here. They're just straight locking in everything, and they're kind of just like, well, semi-conform TRP, you're just gonna have to pick something else. But we want exactly the same comp as we had before, except this time, Thresh taken away by the opposing team here. Like Gravity has arrived, taking away the Thresh, which I really like. Excuse me. To protect Vayne there, also providing a lot of engage potential if he does land a hook, things like that, but also really good disengage to protect Vayne, allow her to scale into late game, and Strav is going to pick up the Braum most likely because his Thresh was taken, or else I'm assuming they would have just gone for exactly the same comp they had last game minus the Yasuo.
Absolutely. I mean, that massive front wall line, it might not even be a wombo combo, although the Braum does offer that kind of knock up again, right? So Yasuo would be perfect in this composition. But the power we saw in the late game there was the amount of auto attacks that Jinx was able to get off during that sort of wombo combo. So definitely going to be still a strong composition regardless of what their last pick is up for the mid lane is.
Yeah, absolutely, and Collective of Borg is going to have pretty much a free lane there against Vayne rather, as long as she doesn't get hooked by Thresh, which she should be okay. Braum should be able to keep her safe. We saw Braum in the last game, of course, a different Braum, Strove on Braum this time. He was playing Thresh last game, but we saw the Braum he was against in the last game make a bunch of those W shield dives to prevent his teammate from being hooked. So we'll see if Strove does exactly the same thing and protects Collective of Borg by jumping in front of those hooks the last second.
Rammus, this is interesting. The one thing I do like about this composition so far is the Karma in the top lane. I believe it's going to be a Karma in the top lane. It's a flex pick, really. But Karma in the top lane against Malphite is a great pick because the shield can block the Malphite Q, the Shard, I believe it's called, something like that, and can mitigate almost all the damage. You can just freely harass the Malphite the entire laning phase.
Yeah, I think either, whatever they do decide to send up there, whether it is Lissandra or Karma, I think should have a great time against the Malphite. It'll be kind of the same thing as last time, where Malphite is probably going to be bullied in lane, but Malphite will have not the TP, excuse me, but his ultimate, his unstoppable force, to try and either make a play to get a kill in top lane, or just wait and just kind of concede lane, and wait until he can TP into a team fight, and then ult on top of that. And Ahri being picked up for semi-conformed TRP here. I like this pickup. Even though it's not the same, I still think, like I said before, I mentioned a bunch of times, Ahri's super strong right now, definitely pick-worthy, ban-worthy, and I think that semi-conformed TRP is going to do well on an aggressive champ like Ahri, who is a little bit more defensive nowadays, but can still make very offensive plays with that ultimate.
Definitely true. We see Ahri coming out. Now, I mean, Ahri's been picked a lot in the LCS as well, something we may or may not be able to extrapolate to this level of play, but Ahri with the pick composition is going to be really, really nice. It's just going to be able to dash around, throw... I mean, the nice thing about the Wombo is if you group them all together, the Orb of Deception does true damage on the way back, but if you can group them all together, it does true damage to the entire team. Just chunk them down completely, so...
Yeah, absolutely. If they can land, I mean, like you mentioned before, it's not exactly the same, but they still do have a decent wombo combo with that Wukong ultimate, and as well as the Malphite ultimate, the Jinx ult on top of that. Braum can throw his ult in the mix, and then Ahri can catch up wherever they are with her ultimate, land a charm, possibly, like you said. If they're all locked down, it's much easier to land the back pull of the Q, which is really what you want to get your main damage from. The front pull, the front push, I guess, of the Q is not nearly enough damage as that true damage coming from the back, and like you mentioned, AoE as well, so it could pay dividends in these team fights. But they have a fair amount of CC coming out for the side of Le Gravity has arrived right now, and I think that should do well for them, because if they can lock down the highly mobile Ahri, if they can lock down the lack of escape on the Jinx right there, they should be able to kill the two prime targets, and then they'll only have kind of like a tank wall left to deal with. If they can take down Ahri, take down Jinx, they should be fine for these team fights.
Absolutely. And I'm really going to look to see, for myself at least, what will be exciting is the Rammus and Lissandra, which we don't see in the same game that often just because Rammus is not picked that often. But if you can Glacial Entomb from Lissandra, a champion, it gives Rammus all the time he needs to sort of powerball into the mid lane or powerball in the top lane, wherever it may be, and taunt them right after that is done, which can sort of culminate in like 4 or 5 seconds of continuous CC, which is always a scary thought.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I'm kind of nervous for Collective of Borg right there. They did a good job for Le Gravity has arrived, because that's why I like Jinx. I love playing her as AD carry, but I'll never first pick her unless our team is entirely built around that. Because if your opponents are smart, they'll just pick a bunch of CC and just lock down Jinx and blow her up immediately. We saw in the last game, Collective of Borg was allowed to do whatever he wanted in those team fights, which is when Jinx is a monster. But if you have people making Jinx's life hell, if you've got a Rammus taunting her in the backline, if you've got a frozen tomb on her from Chandler Grimes there on Lissandra, it could be a really rough day for Collective of Borg. He could go down immediately, and then the counter engage there from the Malphite as well as Wukong and stuff might not have enough damage following it up, now that they only have the Ahri as well as the Jinx for real damage right there. Back when you had the Yasuo, it was a kind of reliable wombo follow-up, where now they have to rely a bit more on the actual team fight play of semi-conform TRP and Collective of Borg, where before it was just press your ultimate, hit your ultimate, win the fight. There's going to be a lot more actual mechanical intensity in these team fights.
Right. So now, in the first instance of the dragon, are we going to say go ahead, go fight for the dragon if you're on the side of the gravity has arrived, or is it more you want to like play the split push game, wait until the late game when the Vayne can really start peeling around in the back end for himself and shred the tank line?
I feel like it kind of depends on how the game's going at that point. If they're any close to
Okay.
being behind, then yeah, don't contest it. Give up the dragon for free and push objectives, take free farm and stuff like that. But if they're reasonably even, I think they can get away with contesting it as long as they don't group up like we saw last game. From the side of Aunt Jemima and the crew, they grouped up too much around that dragon fight, and it really turned the game for them. As long as they don't stack on 5 together and get eaten by a Malphite ultimate, they should be all right. But I wouldn't recommend as much early, like trying to refrain from as much early fighting as possible. But if you're in a situation where you're like, we can't let them take this, then you might be able to get away with it. Like I said, the wombo combo not as kind of foolproof as last game from Comeback Kids.
Absolutely. So we're going to be loading up onto the Summoner's Rift. Once more, we're joined by the Heroes Challenge. We're going to have Silver and Blow today on the Summoner's Rift, duking it out for lots of RP prizes. And if you guys haven't heard much about us, we're randomcs.com, used to where you can check out most of the information about our organization. We host tournaments once, twice, sometimes even 3 times a week, sometimes ARAM, sometimes Summoner's Rift. Anyone can join all across North America server, and you basically play with your friends, and your only cost to you is your time, which you're having fun anyways, so it's like it never happened. Time flies, as they say. Make sure to follow us at our Facebook page, ra.cs, and at esportsrcs, and you can check out when we're going to be streaming more games. I'll be streaming lots of games. Campagnolo joined here with Street Bowl once again, so we join onto the Summoner's Rift. It's going to be quite the exciting matchup after the last game we saw.
Yeah, we've got a Molten Rammus right there, kind of playing the counterpart to Lissandra. The Ice Queen there, we got a nice little molten ball of spikes in Rammus. I can't remember the last time I've seen that skin. Should look pretty cool rolling around the map here. But like you were mentioning before, I'm very excited to see if they can grab some sort of CC Wombo train with the Fire and Ice combo of Rammus and Lissandra here.
Super excited. All right, well, let's see what kind of sneaky level 1s. We saw in our first game of the day between 2 teams, which I'll tell you the names of them. Between Wait, 10-hour reign versus the team Bashi. If you remember that first level 1 fight, snowballed the entire game in the side of Team Bashi. Two different teams now, of course. We're moving on to the, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe these are the semifinals, right, Streeple?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, the semifinals with Le Gravity has arrived on the blue side and Comeback Kids on the purple side. It looks like both teams opting for a defensive start early. Vayne was a little bit delayed in getting out on the map. So that means that the Gravity has arrived, doesn't want to make any sort of level 1 advances, they don't have their AD carry, and the side of Comeback Kids seems to be very content with their same strategy from before, where it's like, sure, we can go aggressive in lane if we want to, but really just stay alive until team fights and win the game there.
Absolutely. Now, looks like they will be sending that Lissandra. We mentioned the flex picks and the Karma-Lissandra combination. Karma will be going to the top lane, got that teleport locked onto her. Believe the Ignite would be a little bit more useful in this case, as they don't want to fight in those dragon fights anyways, but teleport always a useful skill to have, as they really just kind of want to get the Vayne into the late game here, I'm supposing.
Yeah, and Malphite's going to have way more potent teleports than Karma. When you're playing a squishy champion like Karma in top lane, like teleport's the best with... Like, I feel like Malphite with the teleport is probably the best example of how you use a teleport properly, because have his ult up, teleport in, use your ult, and you can win whatever it is. Where Karma kind of gets in a situation where she teleports in, and if she's not properly positioned, she could get blown up immediately, and really not do anything with that teleport, not do anything with the team fight, and actually lose the fight for her team based on when and where she teleports. So it's much easier to get away with a teleport with Malphite than it is with that Karma. Karma can get kind of bit in the butt if she doesn't make a smart TP.
Absolutely. So we're going to see the junglers start on the same side of the map, actually. Wukong's going to get definitely a faster jungle clear than the Rammus at this point. Of course, Rammus, you need a couple levels to deal the damage back to the jungle. Not too familiar with the Rammus clear speed. Probably going to go for the Poacher's Knife at first. Or the Ranger's Trailblazer. That's the one.
Yeah, I always mix up those two as well, actually. But yeah, Rammus there, not too bad at clearing. Once he hits level 6, though, he's going to be extremely strong. The Flash Taunt is really, of course, the most dangerous thing I feel for a jungle Rammus, and that's really going to be what Collective of Borg has to watch out for, is a Flash Taunt Rammus. But one of the things I want to point out here real quick is Black Flames has actually opted to take the Ancient Coin starting for Thresh, and I hate that start for Thresh. I say this all the time, but it's because people don't change it. You know, there's no combat stats on the Ancient Coin. All it is mana regen and gold income. So if you're going to have a fight early with Braum and Jinx, who sure want to bully this Vayne early in the game, you have no actual combat stats to engage in a trade. All it is regen and gold investment. So if they are going to trade early, which they don't want to, but the side of Braum and Jinx might force them to trade early, Thresh is going to not be anywhere close to as powerful as that Relic Shield Braum is. Plus also the sustain that he's giving his AD carry on top of the Relic Shield executes there, the health they get back, is going to keep Jinx and Braum in lane longer than this Vayne can stay.
Absolutely, and you bring up a great point in terms of the trading, if they want to trade. The problem is when you play an AD carry with a shorter range than the enemy AD carry, is in many ways you have to play as if you're willing to trade, just in order to not be zoned out of the farm so that you can actually scale appropriately as your short range would dictate.
Yeah, Vayne is actually a really tricky character to play overall, but specifically in lane, because like you said, to actually play Vayne effectively in lane, you need to be moving towards your opponent and abusing your passive, getting those shots in, and playing very aggressive actually, even if you don't want to actually fight your opponent. You need to make them think that you do, and just get some presence in the lane. Vayne's doing a decent job of farming right now, but usually the kind of Vayne style is just wait until late game and then you're a god. But mostly the style is to abuse Vayne early. It's like we were talking about the Nasus in top lane before. You want to abuse Vayne early so she can't scale later into the game. The same thing as Nasus. If you let them get ahead early, they'll be a monster in mid game and get even stronger in late game. So I'm looking for Collective of Borg and Strove in this bot lane to make Jinx's life, or make Vayne's life, excuse me, hell, and not let her scale up freely. Right now, they're doing a decent job of it, but I'd like to see them apply even more pressure. With the Ancient Coin on Thresh, just bully them in. Do whatever you want, because they can't win a trade right now. But here comes Rammus to try and turn things around.
So they true, no wards coming out for this. Rammus with the Powerball, level 3. He's got the double. Oh, he's going to land on the trap. So let's see if he goes for the flash. Max range hook, just missing. We'll have to come back, try that again with the drive-by.
That was actually really well coordinated. I'm not sure if they did that on purpose, but basically Braum stopped the Rammus roll, and then Jinx threw the traps right where the Rammus roll was going to be stopped. So they tag teamed it there, had Braum eat the roll from Rammus, where Rammus actually, when he runs into somebody, it's kind of a double CC because he gets kind of stunned for a second as well. Lets the traps kind of come into play there because it takes a few seconds for the traps to actually open up on the ground. Rammus gets trapped, and it's an easy gank averted in bot lane right there. So time wasted for Rammus, no summoner spells burnt, and this entire time Wukong's been farming where Rammus is not.
Yeah, and I just want to bring particular attention to the top lane because it is something that I mentioned I liked is the Karma versus the Malphite. But whenever you have a Malphite that's 10 CS, because he's just able to push faster with this flask he's picked up, it's kind of concerning because the Karma Q and a lot of the harass can't go through minions, relying mostly on auto attacks. And if you're gonna let Rammus just, I mean, if you're gonna let Malphite just scale up like this, yeah, it's gonna be quite scary when he comes down to mid game.
And Mavinator is really making great use of his Malphite passive. Of course, every 10 seconds, where when you're not attacked, you get that little shield. You can see on Malphite's health bar right now. He just got that the shield just ate that Karma Q basically. So unfortunately, Dos Leche and Mavinator are Dos Leche is not doing what he needs to do and abusing when the passive's down, because you can reset the passive. So basically, you want to stop the Malphite passive from ticking down. It counts down from 10 seconds each time you hit him there. When he's not hit for 10 seconds, the shield comes back up. So you want to attack him and reset that shield so it doesn't come back up.
Here we go.
I don't know about this.
Malphite level 6. No, not quite. I think they definitely need that combo from both level 6s if they want to make anything happen in the top lane.
Wukong actually just negated his advantage right there by trying to make that gank. He should never have been sitting up there. He should just keep farming right now and wait for level 6. Rammus has already caught back up, just based entirely on the fact that Wukong just wasted time there. They negated the time that Rammus wasted in the bot lane there. Wukong just gave it back by an unfruitful gank in the top lane there. There was no real reason to try and make that gank. Don't try and turret dive unless you've got the abilities to back it up. No ult from Wukong means no turret dive. Karma just hit level 6. They're already pushed up to the turret. There's nothing there that says, hey, I should gank this lane.
Absolutely. You know, in the bot lane though, I actually would have really liked to seen a Severe in this case because you just have that sort of mobility as a comprehensive whole team if you had ran the Severe. So you can just speed up the Rammus even right from your own lane with the Powerball and just run over these individual lanes and actually won the early game, which is really what they need to do against two sort of massive AoE champions like this.
I have to agree with you entirely on that. Now, of course, there might be the fact that Rohan here, Rohan Lawani or whatever the heck his name
Lawani.
is. Yeah, Rohan Lawani. Yeah, I'm not going to say it anymore. Let's say Vayne.
Don't worry, man, I got you.
Vayne here
just 2 me each time.
Yeah, Vayne here, not the best Sivir possibly, because like I don't like to play Sivir. I would pick Vayne over Sivir every game.
Here we go.
I'm terrible at Sivir, but second time.
Oh, level 6 Chandler Grimes. He's going to flash away, but he's going to get the ultimate kick on Raid. Oh, the Condemned knocking him right back to the safety of his own turret. Have to flash over the wall here. Nice death sentence as well. Going to have to force out the flash from Braum as well. That's one kill picked up there. Ari, meanwhile, farming up the mid lane. 20 CS up over the Lissandra. So at least they made it somewhat effective.
Well, and the problem there is actually Braum didn't burn his exhaust. As soon as that comes in, either exhaust Lissandra or exhaust Vayne and try and keep your AD carry alive right there. It was a really good kind of delay on the Frozen Tomb there. Ooh. Oh my goodness.
He's going to fall to that one. This last Spirit Rush being able to get out of there. That was a little interesting play from Rammus.
And that's
I think he was actually surprised because he used his smite on the minions and it cleared all of the minions because he's got the AoE one.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah, that's too much. I didn't want that. That's too much damage, too much power for Rammus, unfortunately. But yeah, semi-conformed TRP, that's his style. It seems like he's just like, I'm going to kill you in the mid lane. I don't care who's there. If someone's there, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to get myself fed. He's winning in CS, has by far the most CS in the game, and just picked up a kill there. He's already sitting on this large rod. And then he just picked up some more gold on top of that. So he is looking pretty good right now. When your AD carry has a BF sword and your AP carry has a needlessly large rod at 9 minutes, you're probably doing pretty well in the game so far.
Absolutely. We're going to see that power spike accelerated into the mid game, which when they can start grouping up and doing their thing. If you're the side of...
The gravity.
Man. Yeah, the gravity side. That's right. Man, my memory's got to eat some fish or something.
I would never remember unless I had it written down. That's the beauty of dual screens. I've got so many windows open right now. It looks ridiculous. But one of those windows is definitely the team names because I could not tell you what these teams were called if I didn't have it written down.
Thank you, Streetbull. This is why we work so well together, my friend.
Yeah, but absolutely. Even though Jinx died there early, she's still beating Vayne in CS, and the kill went to Lissandra, so it's not that big a deal. If the kill had gone to Vayne, they'd be a bit more worried, but Vayne's still sitting on the bilge water, so the BF sword's more than enough to handle that right now. And now Thresh opted to pick up the early Sightstone, which I'm fond of the early Sightstone, I don't mind it at all, but again, I want to talk about combat stats. Is all you're getting is health from that. So literally the only combat stats that Thresh has right now is the health he's getting from Sightstone. Nothing from Ancient Coin, and the Sightstone only provides wards and a little bit of health. So sure, he's got good vision, but when you're sitting in lane the whole time, that vision, you're not going to be able to use it effectively, as we see all the red wards on the bottom side of the map for Comeback Kids, because they have the Sightstone used properly by Braum, but when you're defensive like that, trapped in your own turret, the Sightstone cooldown's not that effective. I would rather have more combat stats to make some decent trades and let Vayne free farm a little bit more. Even though you don't want to go in and trade like all in, and you don't want to go 1-for-1 there, you want to trade a bit in order to provide a little bit of safety for Vayne to push up the lane, because right now she's getting kind of out-farmed underneath the turret.
Absolutely, as both top laners gotta back before they think about teleporting anywhere else in the map. Because right now they're actually sitting on no items at all. Semi-conformity taking a whole bunch of damage there. Has to use a flash in the last proc of the spear rush to get out of that one. Not a bad engage, although the flash being burned down for him as well now. Gives a great spot for Rammus, a great window of opportunity for Rammus to roll in there.
Here's the problem is Chandler Grimes, Lissandra, his Ignite literally just came up right now. If he had waited an extra 10 seconds, that would have been a kill for him on Ahri right there, and it would have given him a 2-0 lead against this Ahri, who's already worth a pretty penny because she got that kill on top of herself already. Would have been able to catch up back in CS. So that's one of those things where even though I like the fact that Chandler Grimes went in there with Lissandra, you kind of want to bully semi-conformed as much as you possibly can. Just wait. Just be patient and wait for your cooldowns. Wait for the abilities you have to actually get those kills. Lissandra, it doesn't have the 100-0 ability that Ahri does with her ultimate and her charm and all the ways she has to catch up to somebody. She kind of needs that Ignite on top of that for the extra bit of damage, just enough to kill. She can kind of 100 to 10 people, and having that Ignite is the extra 10 you need.
Oh, great flash for the Mavinator. That would have been scary.
I would have liked to see him burn the ultimate, but hey, he might have gotten knocked out of it from some crazy, ridiculous timing there. So burn the flash. It's a longer cooldown, but better safe than sorry. Good reaction time there from Mavinator.
Not bad, not bad. It's maybe better if they're thinking about teleporting now in the bot lane. Maybe better to have your ultimate up in the immediate future than your flash, though. It's the one counter argument I think to that.
Yeah, it's absolutely very true. But I would. The thing is that Malphite's ultimate is a ridiculously low cooldown. It's sitting already on 97.5 seconds, so really just a little bit over a minute and a half there until it's back up. Where your flash, even though like you said, the ultimate kind of starts off the wombo combo train, I still would rather always have my flash than an ultimate. Even in a fight like that, sometimes there's going to be scenarios where the ultimate's way better, of course, for sure. But I just feel like Flash has way more you can do with it. It's just, and the longer cooldown. Really, at the end of the day, longer cooldown. Got to save it on that. But like you said,
definitely true.
It really kind of delays the dragon fight that Comeback Kids wants to start here in these next few minutes. They want to have a 5v5 dragon fight where they force the gravity into the condensed area of the river outside of Dragon, and not having the Malphite ultimate up would have had them delayed that about a minute and a half extra.
Absolutely. Now, the one interesting thing is, against the double APO, as TDL Inheritor is coming in, gonna blow that ultimate from Semi-Conformed, actually going right back into him because he's got Osama bin Laden right on the side. Wow, he's gonna have the ultimate come out from him, perhaps. Entomb coming out to Osama bin Laden as well. Lots of damage coming out from him. Chandler Grimes taking a lot of damage. He's actually gonna go behind him to voice the spirit. Oh, the flash is coming up from the Orb of Disruption. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get him. He's gonna fall in the first place as well. Could very easily pick up the second kill here. Oh, there's the flash coming out from Deleche. Gonna pick that kill up on the backside.
And we saw the Jinx ultimate kind of go wide there. But go back to...
Are these bronze players? Really?
what I want to mention from before, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So even if you are missing that Jinx ultimate, he threw it in a good spot. He threw it in a spot where it's a high percentage hit, even though he missed there. It was high percent. I would have liked to see him shoot it out sooner. But anytime I play an AD carry that has a global ultimate, say Ezreal, Draven, Jinx, something like that, always just watch the map. Watch your teammates, watch where they are. You can pick up a ton of easy kills. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten fed off of killing people with global ultimates as opposed to actually doing skillful plays in my lane.
Now here's the point where Malphite has itemized armor. Oh, a tumble into them! What are you doing, Rohan Lahawani? You're gonna die. I'm sorry, that was a misclick, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, great use of the trap, steal.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He popped his heal, didn't pop the flash, didn't pop the ult. I think that was definitely a misclick or some sort of miscommunication. Something went on there because that was not the best bit going on in the bot lane. But there is a teleport burn for Malphite in the top. So that means now that they have that cooldown where they have Karma, you can force a 5v4 in that dragon. But the problem is that would have been a lot better if that was Karma's TP burned and Malphite still had his TP, because Comeback Kids want to force the fight on Dragon, and the Gravity has arrived, don't really want to force the fight on Dragon.
Excellent points all around. I was gonna say that flash from Rammus in that sort of tussle by the Baron area, quite impressive. But the point I really want to bring up here was Rammus itemized armor. Now he does have the null magic, which is great, but Karma is really going to start to harass him and poke him out of this CS. Maybe show up at CS discrepancy a little bit later on, because he went for the Morellonomicon.
Yeah, I think Mavinator kind of has that just ingrained in his brain, where it's like, build that Frozen Heart first, get the 20% CDR going, and then you have your ultimate up as fast as possible to make those wombos. But when you're against a Karma's right back in this lane now. She's got her Morello, she's got all the mana regen she needs to stay in that lane. Here comes Wukong trying to make a play. They don't have the Malphite ultimate, though. There's your problem. And this is what I mentioned before, is Osama bin Laden is kind of trying to get Mav going here, but they're not timing it based on when is a good time to gank. Sure, Karma was pushed up in the lane that time, but without the Malphite ult, you have no way of catching up to her. So you have to wait, you have to communicate with your top laner and say, do you have your ult, are you ready to go? If he says no, go farm the jungle and coordinate it when it is back up. And this is where communication comes into play. The only thing, when I'm playing Malphite, all I'm telling my team is how long till my TP's up, how long till my ultimate's up, and we base everything around that. If your TP's up, if your ultimate's up, then you're good to go and you can make some plays. If it's not, just chill back and farm and wait until your cooldowns are up.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing for the bot side at this point, because Thresh, like you were saying, man, Thresh has no offensive or no defensive stats, and now Vayne is also blowing her heal. It's going to be very hard for them to 2v2 effectively if they want to fight here. The Mavinator, though, getting taunted up. He's going to have his ultimate, but there's no way he's going to get out of this. He's just going to let it go. Yeah, good rotation. Oh, a lot of fighting out of the bot lane as well, though. Oh, gets condemned away. Rohan Lawani. Forget everything that I just said, because all of it was false. They're going to back up. They got a kill right onto them as well. So 2 kills concurrently coming in the top and the bot lane for them.
Yeah, that was unfortunately, I think, the second or third condemn we've seen away. If your condemn is not 100% going to hit them into a wall, don't even bother. Just auto attack, get those nice auto attacks off. It was a nice little play by there in the bot lane to get Vayne farming. They pick up the dragon on top of that. Osama bin Laden picking up that dragon. But in the top lane there, we still have Karma with that TP. I'd like to see her use it. She hasn't used it since Malphite's was on use, and it's about 2/3 done the cooldown. So if she doesn't use it before then Malphite just got a free TP pretty much.
Oh wow, lots of damage coming into Chandler Grimes. Oh my goodness, that was a beautiful use of the Frozen Entomb. Fantastic. Just delayed enough time for Karma to come in there and pick up that kill.
Yeah, that was really, really close. To be honest, I probably would have liked to see Chandler Grimes ult himself there, but it still worked out there. He ulted Ahri and got the kill from there. Ahri still had her flash up, and Chandler Grimes still had all of his summoners up. I think that was a little bit of confusion on both of their parts. They're like, oh, are we doing this? Because I think Chandler Grimes was like, hey, let's fight this, and then didn't realize he's going to get an Ahri charm right to the face, and semi-conformed TRP was like, hey, I'm good to go. I'm willing to trade anytime in 1v1 in lane. But unfortunately, Karma got the roam, and they picked up the kill there, 2v1.
And they're doing really exactly what you'd hope for them to do. The side of the Gravity is really splitting them up and fighting in 2 different places on the map. For example, just in the last case, in the top side and in the bot side. The strength, again, of course, from the Comeback Kids team composition is in the cohesiveness as a unit. So we'll have to see if they can get the Rammus in there for the taunt. Looks like he's going to be in range for it. Collective Borg. He's going to be thrown aside by the Flay. Nice tumble coming up from Rohan Lawani. Going to take up another kill. Oh, and the long-range Death Sentence not going to give anything back as well. Into the night, Vayne goes. One more kill.
Yeah, and this is going to get to a dangerous place. Like you said, the Gravity has been doing such a good job so far of not allowing them to be actual team fights. They're just kind of skirmishing in each lane. Here's the teleport, though, in the bot lane. Malphite teleport is back up. No ultimate, though.
Oh, he's
he keeps TPing with no ultimate.
Oh, you're going to pull him right back in the middle of them. Where's the ultimate? Not up, of course, like you just mentioned. Oh, semi-conformed is going to be going into a good position. Oh, nice combo to get the charm in line there. Vayne's going to be following, so that's 1 kill on the side of them. They're going to turn that right back around. Maybe they'll get the turn out of this.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all they can get right now. Dragon is down. Or there's the TP there from Karma.
Oh, wow. Chandler Grimes going to use that Glacial Path to put on the whole team. Super Mega Death Rocket just missing. They're all just barely alive right now. Karma, of course, coming to the backside as well. 2 kills getting picked up for the side of the Comeback Kids so far. The Mavinator could be full. Oh, no. There's the Glacial Path. Inheritor just going to run right into Malphite, take him out. That was just not enough for him. We might get another kill coming onto Strove. The bot lane, not quite though. Don't turn this around too fast.
Oh. That empowered Q there by Karma just brought down Jinx to less than half HP. That's a lot of damage coming out there from that Karma, and I think part of that is that Sork Boots. She's got the Morellos and Sork Boots pretty much. I mean, she also has the Seeker's Armor, which has a bit of AP, but I really feel like it's always underappreciated how much damage Sork Boots do to non-tank characters. That flat Magic Pen is so strong against someone who's not building any MR, which is Jinx right now. Brought her down to less than half with 1 empowered Q.
Oh, and they can easily keep the siege up here. Looks like Wukong might wrap around here. They're going to take the blue instead. The nice thing is you've got a nice amount of wave clear coming up from Collective of Borg. If you can shut him down, there's no wave clear, though, really, to be had. As Delice is really just making this a 3v2 lane. Oh, my goodness. That stun is going to come out here as well. Give the kill over to Rohan Luwani. He's going to pop his ultimate. Maybe think about diving. Wisely decides to back off as the whole entirety of the team. But the cloned Wukong is going to get caught by the hook. Not too much is going to come on the backside of this. Although Ahri's ultimate is up once more. Oh my goodness, 70% of his health. Inheritor's coming in as well. We've got Sandra coming in the backside. No, the flash onto Jinx is just too much action going on right now. One person falls, Sandra's falling right away. Oh, everyone's so low on the side of gravity. They're going to be falling again. Semi-conformed with the double buff's going to be going after that. But Rohan Luwani's full health once more. Nice tumble out of the way. They might have to just back off right after this one. Oh, wow, there goes Osama bin Laden. I'm sorry, Osama bin Laden. Ignite falling onto the charm on him as well. Rohan Luwani's still alive, but Semi-Conformity is just going to have too much damage to handle on this side. Yeah. Is this ARAM? What is going on here?
Yeah, this is kind of weird. But yeah, it looks like we've got the top laner in the mid lane. There's 2 solo laners chilling in bottom right now, and we've got the support in top lane holding the waves. So very weird team fight that just happened right there. But this is what I was talking about before. Oh my god, almost kills her. Oh, get... Okay. Hey, all right, double buff transfer, very nice.
There we go.
Shuts down that Ahri right there, because Ahri was super strong in that fight. She was the real sustained damage they had, because unfortunately, as I was talking about before, Collective of Borg didn't play that team fight that well. He got right up in Rammus's face, which is not what you need to do. You have so much ability to kind of kite from the back line with those long-range cannons. No need to get up that close and personal. Collective of Borg goes down, unfortunately, and really leaves it up to Semi-Conformed TRP to finish off the team fight for his team, and they really traded evenly for both sides at the end of all things there. And Vayne, even though she died, she's gotten a bunch of kills and set herself up nicely to transition into the late game here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep track of all the kills there, because I think we had multiple people like come back into the fight afterwards.
Yeah, it was ridiculously extended right
sanity.
There.
As the Dragon's going to be coming up in 30 seconds, though, so we'll have to keep an eye on the ultimate cooldowns. All of them are up for the side of Comeback Kids, which is going to look great for them. Of course, the scrimmaging ability from Gravity might be the prevailing essence in their team play.
Yeah, Comeback Kids definitely have to play the team fights a little bit smoother if they want a cleaner win there in their fights. Because I believe, I don't know, Karma picking up the double buffs at the end probably tipped it back to even, but I feel like Comeback Kids kind of won that earlier, like they won the initial bit of that fight right there. But they don't have the same one and done potential from their ultimate combos. They don't have the Yasuo to follow up on top of that, so you saw the Malphite ult hitting 2 people there, but the fight was not over in the last game. All the fights were just Comeback Kids ulting, and then the fight's over after about 3 seconds, where the longer the fight goes, the more Gravity has arrived, has abilities to play them.
Oh! That is a lot of damage coming out from that Ahri there. Chandler Grimes foolishly walking the bush. Oh my goodness! Just barely Super Mega Death Rocket not taking out Chandler Grimes, but the Dragon's going to be going over to the side of Comeback Kids.
Less than 10 HP on the Sandra right there. Now that's how you use your Jinx ults. Very nice job by Collective of Borg. Even though he doesn't pick up the kill, that was definitely the right idea. And the funny thing is actually when you get into situations like that where you don't get the kill with the Jinx ult by about less than 10 HP, if you had taken 1 step backwards and then shot your ultimate, you probably would have gotten that kill, because the longer it travels, the more damage it's going to do there. The point blank ultimates don't do much, but when you go in from a distance, it can really snipe people down. So there's I always talk about the tiny little differences that can kind of make or break games. Lissandra would be dead, and Jinx would be even more fed than she is right now, because she's actually in a worse place than Jinx is, even though she's ahead in farm.
Absolutely. So the group up is 5-on-5 in the mid lane. We're just going to rotate from bot to mid to top, it looks like. This really want to push down 1 turret apiece. So despite all of the fighting that's been going on, still only 2 turrets in the entire game having been fallen. The rotations are not quite spot on, nor even the focus of either team in this game. It's an interesting style of play.
Yeah, they definitely aren't exactly rotating around the map. There was some stuff on the bottom, but like you said, it's kind of devolves into an ARAM here. I like the fact that they're grouping up.
Oh no! Deloche gonna be falling right away. Massive wombo combo coming on here. TDL Black Barnes getting knocked up 3 times in a row. Strove, they really want to take out Strove. I'm not sure if this is exactly the right place you want to follow, but Rohan Luwani now has free reign over the entire fight. You might actually even clean up this entire fight. They gotta know who to focus in the next fight. So 3 for 2 actually. That turned out great for the side of Gravity.
Chandler Grimes, in about the span of a minute or so, has left the fight with about 10 HP twice so far. That engage was so ballsy, and the fact that he was able to survive really cemented the fact that they won that team fight, or else it would have been a 3 for 3 kind of even trade. But this is what I keep talking about, is Comeback Kids without that Yasuo, they're not as far ahead as they were in the last game. They're actually a little bit behind right now. They don't have the same one-and-done wombo that they did before, and then if you don't kill Vayne initially, Vayne's going to kind of clean up the team fight on you right there, and that's what I'm so worried about for Comeback Kids, is they don't have the same team fight that they did before. It's not as powerful. Banning out that Yasuo has kind of taken away the linchpin of that team comp. Now they're kind of stuck with having Ahri and Jinx micro well and play the team fights properly, where before they could get away with them kind of being sloppy.
Yeah, and the Rammus is eventually just getting so tanky that they can withstand a lot of this upfront burst coming out from the side of Comeback Kids. And really, I mean, it was a blessing and a curse, Deloche getting caught out in the start of that fight there, because he in the first place, it wasn't as if he was grouped with the rest of the team getting caught out. He was just singularly there. And it looked very impressive, because you had the Braum knockup followed by the Wukong ultimate, and then I think Malphite hit a couple people there, but looking impressive doesn't always equate to the most damage or even your team winning the game.
Yeah, and that's a great point there, is that that fight was initiated by Karma getting caught out, and they still ended up trading 3 for 2 in that team fight. So start a team fight without Karma getting caught out and see how it goes for the side of where Gravity has arrived, because they should be able to take these team fights here. I like how there's a Banshee's Veil on Malphite. That's good against a reasonably heavy AP comp. But, to be honest, I feel like he could have better spent that money. The Banshee's Veil is going to be really good against some hard poke from Karma, but I think that's all it's going to negate right now. Ahri getting chunked down early. This is what they need. It seems like a lot of the AP here from Karma and a lot of the AP from Ahri is really what's deciding how these team fights go, is they're going to try and chunk someone down early and then base things around that. So Lissandra's farming the bot lane with no TP, so they need to not fight here and just be safe for right now while she groups up.
Absolutely. I mean, the really good thing about sort of wombo combo team comps like this is that even if you're behind about 5 or 6 or maybe in some rare cases 8 to 10,000 gold, there's still the case for a perfect setup where they can like knock up 3 or 4 people from the side of Gravity and basically just delete them from the game in one instance. So there is that worry still from the side of Gravity. So positioning is still going to be crucial as the gold increase starts to, well, as the gold starts to increase a little bit in the difference. So.
You're absolutely right, and that's one of the reasons that even though we mentioned before, like Sivir would be good for this kind of heavy movement speed comp. You got the speed up from Karma as well as Rammus going fast and things like that. But I like the fact that they have the Vayne, because Vayne allows you, as long as Vayne doesn't die in that initial engage, she can clean up a fight. Vayne is one of the best in the world at doing that, best in the game, and if they allow the initial engage from Malphite to not hit too many priority members, if Vayne kind of just sits in the back and waits for the team fight to develop before going in, they should be able to clean them up nicely. But like you were saying, the Gravity is in a situation when you're playing against a team comp like Comeback Kids has, you have to be worried about that engage throughout the entire game. No matter how far ahead you are, you can't group up as 5 because they could turn a fight. Like you said, there's the perfect storm, the wombo combo engage onto every member of your team, and they just sweep a team fight instantly.
Yeah, as the group in the mid lane, I mean, I guess the thought process is, it worked for us last time, let's just do it again. But I honestly think that Karma is such a strong split push at this point in the game with the 2 fully completed items that it might be worthwhile to send him out into a side lane, although it looks like the top lane is pushing up for the side of Comeback Kids, or for the side of Gravity, rather, and the opposite, the side for Comeback Kids.
Yeah, they had to send up Ahri into the top lane right there to get that wave pushing, and in that time is when they had the window of opportunity for the Gravity to engage on the fight, but they don't really have the tools they need to just straight up jump on them. Comeback Kids are definitely in a much better situation in terms of, hey, we should fight right now, let's do it, and they can all just jump in at once. It's a little bit harder for the Gravity to get that going, and that's partially where we were talking about the Sivir earlier, is that would allow them to do that with that on the hunt, sort of engage into fights when they wanted to. It's a little bit harder to do right now, because when it is a 4v5, for example, they've got Jinx in the top lane right now, they should engage in this 5v4 fight right now, but it's going to be hard to do. They should turn
once they see them, because I don't know if they have total vision on Jinx right now, that would be a wonderful thing to do.
There's too much wave clear. They need to commit. They need to decide what they're doing, because their timing window is closing now that Jinx is coming back to the fight.
Mm.
If they're
Now,
not going to do that, they need to clear out bot wave or do something else. If you're not going to engage 5v4, if you're not going to take advantage of the numbers you have, then just split back up, turn it into a 1-4 split push, and clear out bottom, which is what they're doing right now. But it's too late.
yeah.
And comeback kids might engage on them while they send Lissandra down.
At the very least, send 2 people off to do Dragon or something. It's just kind of futile at this point because you do want to scale that Vayne into the late game. And what you do when you kind of group your entire team up to share a farm and experience is you delay that kind of experience gain that you want as you get towards the late game. So the Scuttle Crab's going to go over to the side of comeback kids.
You're 100% correct on that. And on that point, I would like to see them, if they not now, because of course Dragon's being contested, but before, send Vayne to the bot lane, have her free farm, and just push waves in mid and don't fight. Let Vayne scale.
Oh, here's the big fight we're looking for. Chandler Grimes actually taking out Ari instantly, not even able to ult. The Dragon goes over to the side of comeback kids, but they are dead to rights at this point, unfortunately. You really have to coordinate those ults or else nothing's going to come out of it.
That was really smart by LaGravity, kind of just waiting until the Dragon was fully committed to, and then they jumped all on top of them. Comeback kids were not in position and ready to get their wombo combo off. It was kind of a collapse from LaGravity has arrived on top of them, as opposed to a funnel where they had 5 people stacked. They all kind of came in from all sides,
right?
Yeah, and just jumped over walls after them, which is exactly what Comeback Kids does not want in a team fight. They want a cluster, they want a group of enemies to jump on. They didn't get that, and this should be a free second tier mid turret, so definitely a great trade for LaGravity. Who cares about the Dragon when you're getting this in exchange for it?
Absolutely, so 2 turrets fall. It's going to be 4-2 for them now. And what I really love about this, we've been stressing so much the importance of splitting the enemy team up, trying to distract them by giving them multiple targets and costs and benefits under which they can all 1 person, but then they miss 2 other people, all 2 people, then they miss 3. That's kind of the decisions you want to force wombo combo team cons to make. And by coming and flanking from both sides, as the Rams came from the top side and the Lissandra came from the bot side, if I recall correctly, they really forced them to just they kind of panic there, and they didn't really know. Although Vayne is going to fall from the long range engage from Ari there.
Yeah, unfortunately there, and that's why we saw actually the whole team was leaving for the side of LaGravity has arrived, and then Vayne kind of just stayed. She walked up a little bit more to try and get a bit more CS or something like that. If your team is backing, just back with them, especially if you're a high priority target like a Vayne, which at this point in the game, they just need to keep Vayne alive and just have her continue to farm. And you made a great point earlier, when they're all grouped up together like that, all playing an ARAM, 5 people 1 lane, the experience and farm is not all going to Vayne, and Vayne is just kind of getting delayed in her power spike, where if they send her to bottom to split push, don't fight in mid, just keep pushing waves, let Vayne farm, get some nice items, then come back into fight, and then they can make these fights a lot easier on themselves, because right now, if you're fighting 1v4 as Vayne's not going to go well, you need to have them turn, like we saw against that Dragon fight, coming from all sides, not group up, and then they should be alright for the side of LaGravity. But Comeback Kids do not want that to happen again. They've had it happen to them once, and they're probably not going to make the same mistake again. Good poke there coming out from Karma.
Wow, and he's working towards that death cap as well. As soon as that happens, this could be another huge spike. I remember Karma kind of flew under the new rework Karma, kind of flew under the radar for so long. And then Bjergsen was one of the first players to actually pick him up in the playoffs last year or something, I think, the LCS, and went like 9-0 with Karma, and everyone's like, oh my god, Karma, you get to see like 1 million Karmas in solo queue. But Karma is good, it's just under certain instances. She's vulnerable sort of to long range initiates and gap closers, and she has slow sustained damage rather than like a full upfront burst damage. So
yeah, she's pretty darn good in lane though with that poke and things like that, and if you can land that poke early, it's really strong in kind of not allowing the enemy team to decide how team fights take place, because if you chunk out a priority member, and they can't force that team fight on top of that. But one of the things I want to mention is actually I would have liked to seen Ari pick up the Athenes and Holy Grail as opposed to the Morellos, because she's versus a double AP comp. She's been getting chunked so hard at the beginning of these fights that extra little bit of magic resist, even though it's only 25, I think would have been worth it. The extra gold you spend on the Athenes, I think, is worth it against this heavy, strong double AP comp coming out from LaGravity's arrived. I would like to see that instead of the Morellos.
Absolutely. Now, all in all, from a macro perspective, this game has been quite uninteresting, although singularly it's been very interesting. Oh my goodness, there's the ultimate coming out. Oh, the ultimate coming from Malphite as well. Here comes the Wamkona under the turret, though. They have to be really careful about how much turret damage they take. Osama bin Laden's going to be falling as well there. Vayne is full health and just taking out everyone, though. She's going to fly around. The hook, long range on a semi-conform. That was perfect. Zani's going to be popped out of there, but no problem, as they're going to take her out.
What?
Oh, there's the Kadam. Very close, Vayne. Tricky.
I love how Vayne is positioning in these team fights, but stop condemning people. Just stop. Just don't press E
Yeah,
this
yeah.
entire game. Don't bother. Just stick with what you're doing other than the condemns because you're playing these team fights great. Rohan is positioning so well in these team fights that he's in a position where the side of Comeback Kids cannot touch him until all of their priority ults are burned. And then once those are burned, then you see Vayne start tumbling in with the ultimate and your team is getting cleaned up on and they have no way to lock her down. So I'm loving the positioning from Rohan Lalwani right now on Vayne. I just would like to see a little bit more patience on the condemns instead of just kind of spamming them, hoping that they kill people.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to be able to pick up this turret there. It's not looking great. They might... Nope, they're going to be safe. The one thing, though, I wish they would have done there is probably the Baron, because Vayne was still relatively full health, could have life sustained, and I think Rammus had enough health, perhaps, to do it. They had 2 other people alive as well. The Baron could have been an awesome objective for them in terms of how they're playing.
Yeah, it would have allowed them to kind of push in and force the fights like they're not able to do right now. They're kind of waiting for Comeback Kids to make a mistake and then counter-engaging on top of them, where if they had the steroided up Baron minions, then they would probably be able to force down turrets and force fights on their terms instead of just reacting to Comeback Kids. But I think they're just kind of playing safe right now and not wanting to take unnecessary risks in that Baron. Although I think it probably would have been a good idea. But it's one of those things where you need to have everybody on the same page. You can't go, hey, let's do Baron, and then someone's like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. You need to be all on the same page at once and go immediately to it, burn it down, get away. And I think that's probably, at the end of the day, when you're in lower elo like this, just play it safe. Just play it safe. The team with the least amount of mistakes will win the game.
Absolutely. So we see a jockeying position for the Dragon once more. 25 seconds till it goes up. Now, we've been sort of trumpeting this Wombo combo, and it hasn't gone so great for them without that synergy they need with the Yasuo to kind of like shred the armor and all that kind of stuff. Also, with the counter engage being so good from Lissandra, as we saw in that last Dragon fight, Ari got one shot by Lissandra before she could even use one charge of Spirit Rush, and that could be a big problem with them. It's kind of like the syndrome people have against Annie as a support, just like one shot the Annie before she can ultimate, and you win the fight easily.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a very kind of utility-centric team for Gravity has arrived. The only person that's really just a pure damage dealer there is Vayne. Lissandra is very heavy in utility, as well as Karma, so I quite like their comp. All they want to do is just survive the initial engage from Comeback Kids, and then have their Vayne clean up the fight after that, so I quite like how Gravity's arrived has been playing so far, but Comeback Kids, I keep mentioning, still has the ability to come back here with that Wombo ultimate. Although not the same without the Yasuo, it still has a lot of potential. They haven't hit it perfectly yet in this game so far.
Yeah, okay, here comes Inheritor. He's just trying to take on the entire team here. Where is the rest of his team? Wukong's in the back line, actually zoning out Vayne completely, but they're going to take a collective of Borg on the other side. 2 entirely different fights happening right now. Vayne is left to auto-attack freely in the back line. 3 more people fall. This could be the first Dragon very easily. Vayne finally falls. They've been zoning him out for so long, but Ari is actually on the complete other side of the fight, having used his ultimate chance of Vayne and then right out of the fight as well.
So basically what happened in that fight is
the long-range Karma Q. That was awesome.
Those Lecce has been on point with those Karma Qs. The empowered ones just blowing people up left and right. And that fight, like you said, was really weird. They kind of just split off in 2 different directions, and the reason that happened is because they said, okay, who do we want to kill? AD carry. And both teams said that at the same time. So they went, let's send everything after Vayne. They said, let's send everything after Jinx. And Jinx is like, where's my peel? Vayne's like, where's my peel? They're off killing your opponent AD carry. Yeah, exactly. So then by the time they turn around, though, they spent so much to take down Vayne, who is the prime target at this point, but you've got Lissandra and Karma to back up in damage, and to be honest, even Rammus does a fair amount of damage just by standing there, and then you've got the utility coming out from Thresh as well on top of that. It's just way more important to kill a fed Vayne than it is to kill that, even though Jinx is super far ahead in farm and stuff like that, she's not doing the same contribution to the team fights as Vayne is, I feel. So killing Vayne there is not a bad idea, but it's a little bit useless to kind of leave your AD carry alone and let them die.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Vayne, obviously, though, in a straight up sort of like their team's chasing our AD carry and we're chasing their AD carry, Vayne has much more potential to outplay the enemy team than a Jinx does, thankfully.
Yeah,
so.
and that's what I mentioned before in Champ Select, is the Jinx was first picked for Collective of Borg, and Gravity's arrived, he's like, well, we'll just grab CC. will just murder you with CC. They can send in Karma like they did. They sent in Lissandra and Karma, the two AP champions, which are usually more often than not AP. You're trying to kill the enemy AD carry with that because you can blow them up pretty quick. And they have more than enough damage as well as the utility to keep her locked down there. Collective of Borg, like you mentioned, can't kite by herself. Jinx is so much stronger when ahead and can kite with her passive reset. Okay. Rammus going in for a little stroll, just checking out the base.
Hey man, just wanted to see what your base was like.
Oh, and actually now they're going for this this split push strat where they're getting Vayne to push the lanes and get fed here. I think they're realizing now that, hey, Vayne is way behind in farm. Let's get her some farm and get her some items, and then she can carry us in these team fights. So I like this strat. They just need to kind of play it safe and just wait right now for late gravity's arrive. I think they should set up some wards around where they are right now, in front of the Baron on the enemy's red side jungle, and then start making some plays around down there, setting up picks around there. Because if they can pick someone off before a fight starts, then the wombo combo is essentially initiated, or nullified rather.
Right. Now, I think most other teams, if we saw like a higher level play, what would have happened here is the Combat Kids would have looked and saw Vayne bottom and then saw the entire enemy team in their own jungle backing, and they probably would have ran to Baron and started and forced the enemy team to do something, be proactive about it, but that didn't happen in this case.
Yeah, and that's like you said, I think it is because we are seeing a lower level of division and stuff like that, but I do like the fact that they're playing safe in this. I always say this, like, if you don't have the skills, if you don't feel like you can make these crazy plays, these crazy calls and things like that, then don't bother. Just play it safe and keep it simple. I kind of change how I would coach teams depending on what the caliber of that team is. You know, if I'm coaching a challenger level team, I'm like, yeah, guys, we need to go for Baron at that point, set up some wards, set up some picks, and turn that into there. If I'm coaching these guys right now, just play it safe. Don't bother going for Baron. You can throw if you go for Baron. Just keep it super safe. Just set up some wards if you can, and just work as a team together as 5. Just don't get womboed. Just keep it super simple, and then once you get up to those higher levels of play, then you can start focusing on more calculated aggression. But I feel like at this level of play, just stick to the basic simplicity, like we were saying before. Even though they were all grouped up in mid as 5, and that wasn't the best idea, grouping up as 5 is usually the best strategy, especially at this level of play. Just stick together with your team, and you can never get caught out.
That's a great point of analysis.
Whoa.
Play safe. And just, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, speaking of getting caught out there, Braum has to blow a flash there because he sees Lissandra and is like, peace out, I'm not getting involved in this. Flashes over the wall there.
You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, exactly. I did not expect
Lissandra
to be there. And Lissandra can blow up Braum even though he has finished that Aegis of the Legion there.
Yeah, it's awesome as we see, once again, both teams returning to the mid lane. It's going to be quite exciting ARAM tournament once more. That happened yesterday, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like they are looking towards Baron now, possibly. They should set up some wards around there. There's a ping out for the side of Comeback Kids. They're trying to kind of make sure they can defend around that, but they should be pushing out these lanes here. There we go, send Vayne to that top lane, let her farm. Nope, they're turning around.
Okay, never mind.
Yep.
Sorry, my ping just went to the top lane. Sorry, I don't actually want you to do that. Let's just let it push to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe they just want to free farm safely there. But, oh, here we go. They're going to try to make a pick right now.
Oh, no!
What?
Wow, that did not look like it hit. There's the Zhonya's. The team is coming frantically in, though. She's going to fall. Ari's going to fall. Oh, my God, the Malphite ultimate hits no one in the back line as Vayne is just flying around, taking him out now. This is not looking good for the side of the Comeback Kids. We might actually see a Baron getting picked up on the backside of this. As you see, Wukong actually not even use his Cyclone in that fight, just right behind. I don't know what they're going to do in this case.
Yeah, Wukong tried to flank there, but unfortunately Jinx was just straight running away. Mavinator going to go down here. Oh, the ult popped there by Lissandra.
Still was up there.
Well, let's see if they can. I was gonna say if they can bait in Collective of Borg, Rammus can definitely get the taunt off and kill her pretty easily right there. But Wukong was not in that fight at all. He was trying to flank from behind, but the enemy team was just chasing after his AD carry, and they just outran him, so he never got the flank off. He never was able to use any of his spells. And then here's see the giant wave in top right there. That's a bunch of farm wasted that Vayne could have easily, even if she just pushed one wave when she went up there, she was halfway up there. It's one of the things I like to always say. I play AD carry a lot, and as an AD carry, one of my favorite things to do is go to a side lane, push a wave, and then group up. Get the side waves pushing, get them on your side, make it so that your enemy has to think about the side waves, because right now, the side of Lit Gravity has arrived is like, oh, we could be pushing up more, we could be taking more advantages, but we have to go back and defend our top right now because the wave is too big. Where if you had that wave pushed up, you could be setting up more vision around Baron right now and possibly even have taken the Baron after you got that inhibitor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Baron definitely would have been a no-brainer call for me in that situation because you had still 20 seconds on the death timers after you had taken the inhibitor. up to the team. I mean, playing safe is really nice. There's always been sort of a stigma around Baron at low levels that, Baron is the place where we throw. So if we just ignore it, like we're like 15k gold ahead. We don't need Baron or 10k gold ahead. So that's not a bad mentality to have either.
Yeah, and I was actually having a discussion with one of my co-casters in a previous tournament where actually it was the opposite of this, where he was basically saying they don't need to try and finish out the game, just keep it safe and slowly kind of close out the game. Where we were watching an extremely high quality level of play, like they were all diamonds and challengers and stuff like that, and I had seen that specific team play multiple times before, and I'm like, I know these guys are good enough to close out this game, end it before the enemy team can come back. Where I think it's the opposite in this situation. Don't go for Baron, don't try and make calculated risky plays. Even if they are high percentage, just play it safe, just slowly close out the game here, don't take any unnecessary risks, because I feel like the decision making around Baron gets pretty crazy. When you're trying to get Baron and your team's like, should we continue Baron? Should we turn for the fight? Who are we on? What are we doing? It creates a bunch of chaos. And right now, when you're ahead by this much, you don't want chaos. When you're behind, you want chaos. So when you're ahead, just keep it simple, keep it safe. I feel like, and no shots at any of these teams playing here, but I feel like they don't have to rotate around the map properly to close out this game any faster. Just keep it safe right now.
Absolutely, and especially when you're on the blue side, the Baron can get kind of problematic because they are going to flank over the wall. They're going to like come rotate around you. They could come from the other side, from the top as well. So those are all really good points. And of course, when you're sort of a wombo combo, that sort of Baron nook and cranny is the perfect place for it. What you were saying earlier, though, is a great point when, it's really contextual, I think, depending on how quickly you feel the necessary need to close out the game. Now, if the comeback kids had like this crazy late game composition with like a Kassadin, if they had Vayne themselves, if they had like a whole bunch of mobility and high damage output in the late game, then you definitely do want to close out the game. There's a lot more urgency. But in this case, considering how Gravity has probably a better late game team composition than the enemies anyways, you can probably just take it easy and kind of just like slow it down, make sure we don't make any mistakes, because that's when we can really start throwing the game.
Yeah, and right now is a perfect time to start a fight. I don't know why they're backing off, to be honest. I guess they don't know that Jinx is up there. Let me just check the map. No, they do, yeah, because now the minions see them. This is where they need to fight or force the Baron or do something right now. This is their timing window when they don't have an enemy team to contest with. Ahri and Braum looks like they might be playing around the dragon right there. I'm not exactly sure what Combat Kids are doing currently.
Yeah, well, this is the Baron. It could potentially be traded for the dragon, but it looks like there's no vision. It's gonna go for free. The thing is that because it was the fourth dragon, but then, or the third dragon, I think the other team, going into the fourth, that they definitely could have just traded dragon for Baron without a problem at all. Not the fifth one, of course, but this one, yeah.
And that entirely happened because the mid lane was getting pushed right there. Oh, good job by Wukong to back up. They should just realize this is gone.
Yeah, as soon as they realize it's gone, they should just back out of here, because there's no point in going to check it.
There we go. Finally, a ward comes down.
Like, yeah, someone please ward this.
Yeah, but
we don't ward on this team.
That Baron take was entirely possible because of the downed mid inhibitor, and even though it was because an inhibitor in the lane's pushing itself, obviously. Oh god.
Oh, here we go. Oh, not even burning the Banshee's Veil, actually. Oh, is he in range for the ultimate? Lots of damage coming out from the Cyclone here. He's all by himself, though. Malphite is actually doing the dragon right now. Yeah, and then they're just gonna like slowly fall. Even though they got the GAs, it's gonna be a wasted investment here. Under the turret, Collective of Borg is gonna be falling. Here comes the Glacial Fissure, not quite enough damage. TDL Inheritor is gonna maybe take the Lantern down. Oh, here comes the Zanya's. Glacial Fissure, that's a great use of it on yourself, actually. One more GA falls down. Oh no! The Mavinator trying to take Rohan the One. He's actually owning his own base, and the Condemned, the procs, everything is being blown on him. That is almost a clean ace with Braum being the last person to fall, and that will surely be the game.
Look how little damage Rammus is taking with the turret. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's ridiculous right there. But yeah, that was a bit of unfortunate communication for the side of Comeback Kids. Like you said, Mavinator trying to 1v1 the Dragon as a tank Malphite. Not the best idea, especially when your team's getting jumped in top lane on your inhibitor turret right there. Should have TP'd earlier. Unfortunately, TP's late, gets the ult off, but that is going to be Gravity has arrived, and they have arrived themselves
nice little dance.
into the finals right there. Actually, yeah, Braum doing a dance in his fountain right there in front of Karma and Lysandra, impressing the ladies. That's going to be Gravity has arrived, moving on there. Comeback Kids unfortunately getting eliminated. Without that Yasuo, their Wombo comp wasn't exactly the same, and unfortunately didn't get ahead and couldn't pull those crazy engages off like they did last game. Gravity's arrived, moving on in the tournament.
Yeah, it was quite exciting. So I guess without further ado, we'll jump into a really quick break and get you the finals games. Yeah, this is the games that we all look forward to, of course. Duking it out for $1,300 or $1,300 RP, not dollars. Once again, make sure you check out our website, randomcs.com, if you want to check out more tournaments that you can, for free, register in for the same chance to be casted by us. Like, these awesome casters that you can, by the way, follow on Twitter and Twitch and all these things as well. Strupel, you have any last-minute analysis before we jump into a break?
No, that was a pretty clean game there from the Gravities Arrived. I like when they took that Baron. It was a very low-risk Baron, so good call by them, not making any sort of unnecessary risky plays. Cleaned it off. I would like to see some different trinkets there from either sides right now. But whatever, heck, they won the game. Who cares at this point? Moving on to the finals is Late Gravities Arrived, and we're going to be moving on into the next lobby very shortly. Just give us a few minutes, and we'll have things set up for you guys.
Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is Saturday, February 7th, and we're joined at the finals for our Silver and Under Summoner's Rift Brawl. Gonna duke it out tonight. This is the finals. We've got on the team blue side, Drizzle Hype versus purple side, our winners from our last game, the Gravity. The Gravity has arrived. I'm joined here by Streeple. How's it going, Streeple?
Very good, very excited to get into these grand finals here between Drizzle and Le Gravity has arrived. You saw Le Gravity in last game. Go play the Karma as well as the Vayne to great effect. So some target bans coming out from Drizzle, which is to be expected. We saw the Vayne coming out from Rohan Lalwani, who got caught out